Hello and welcome to Kody and Korbin Have a Podcast, the show where two former roommates
And
talk
they
about a
were
new
roommates.
movie every week. But this week on the show, we're talking about Oscar noms and answering some listener submitted questions because it's the season finale, baby. I'm your host, Korbin Zvokel, and joining me, as always, is a man who many have compared to an Oscar statuette, my co-host, Kody Webb. Kody, how's this fine Tuesday treating you?
Man, what an intro that was. I don't know if I compare myself to, one of the greatest honors in the world, but I appreciate the compliment. I'm doing great, man.
Well, you're tall, skinny, and white, so I figured you kind of pretty similar to the Oscar statuette.
You got a good point there. But yeah, I'm very excited for the season finale, man. Been a good season. I think we're gonna have a fun ending, and we got a couple great guests to join us today. So yeah, can't really complain, man.
And you know what? It's not just any Tuesday, it's Oscar Nominee Tuesday, which means we finally get to discover who was able to predict the most nominees correctly all the way back in September. But of course, we cannot talk Oscar nominees, and we can't talk winners and losers without welcoming back to the show the Batman and Robin of the podcasting world, the hosts of the Rough Cut Retrospective, two former guests, Jackson Mahuron and Carter Sims, friends, Romans, ComPODres. How are we doing?
I'm Robin.
Damn it, I wanted to be Robin. Shit.
I wanted to call it while I could.
And I'm Batman.
Nice.
Hi. Good to be back.
Thanks
We're
for
all
having
together.
us.
Look
Yeah.
at us.
Jackson's here to, be the host. So
I'll try my best.
no, completely impartial, right, Jackson?
I'm mostly illiterate, so I wouldn't worry about my impartialness. So
Classic Robin.
We'll see
I
how
don't even know
well
what impartial means.
see how well he can read these nominees. We have a great show for you guys. First, we're going to go through all the Oscar noms, find out who won the game that we played. And then after that, stick around because Kody and I are going to answer some fan submitted questions and react to some hot takes. We actually already recorded that portion. It was a lot of fun. Cody's shaking his head for some reason. He's a hater. But we're talking just the nominations today. And if you want to hear who we think will actually win these individual awards, go check out the Rough Cut Retrospective this Friday, where we do a little Oscar pool for the winners. So like I said, Jackson's our totally impartial MC for the evening. Why don't I go ahead and let him take over, explain the rules that we used, and run the show. Let's hear it, Jackson.
Awesome. Yeah. So for those who do not know, back in September, Carter, Korbin, and Kody did their own little nomination process where out of the 23 Oscar categories, they predicted a nominee for 17 of them. So they left out the boring ones that none of you guys care about. Don't worry. We're not doing those. I was joking there. Don't worry, Carter. He's very upset.
Best animated short is goated.
Okay. Anyways, but yeah, so for those, they each picked one, except for a couple categories where they picked two, which is Best Actor, Best Actress, Best Picture. Did you do support? I don't think you did the supporting. You just did one for
We
the
did not.
So just those three. So for a total of 20 total nominees per person, with unique twist that if you use Dune, for example, in one category, you cannot use Dune in a different category. So once you use it, it's done, and it's going to be very unique, very special, and I'm going to reveal the results to you tonight.
Ooh, yeah.
Ooh, yeah.
Spooky.
We should point out we haven't seen these, right? Neither Kody, Korbin, or I have not seen these nominees.
Mm-hmm.
We're excited.
Been staying off my phone to the best I can.
Yeah. I haven't been able to go on Twitter all day, basically. It's kind of tough.
It has been tough.
And I, for one, have been enjoying the toxic political discourse of Oscar nominations on Twitter. So we love it.
Jealous.
With that, should we get started, boys?
Let's do it. I'm ready to hear that I won. So
all right. Category 1 is Best Makeup and Hairstyling.
Am I starting?
yes.
Okay, me as Carter. I picked The Eyes of Tammy Faye, which was at the time a movie I did not see. And after I saw it, I was like, yeah, this is a shoo-in. Great makeup, great hairstyling. I think it's in there. Lock it in.
Kody?
This is also in September. I'll point that out many, many times. I chose Tick Tick Boom, which, in hindsight, isn't my worst pick out of all of them. So I'm not it could make it. It's
That
possible.
is true.
It's probably on the edge of some that were considered and some that were not. but I guess it's not on there. So yeah, I believe both of you guys got this one as well, which is kind of tough. So not a great start. I'm predicting off the bat, but who knows? Tick tick boom. Andrew Garfield. Who doesn't love that guy? Come on.
True.
Hey, this was a big year for Andrew Garfield. If we were going to pick winner of the year, Andrew Garfield might have been the person. I took Cruella in this category. Lots of makeup, lots of hairstyles. I mean, kind of obvious, right? So chart it up. Carter and I 1 point, Kody 0 points. Let's hear it, Jackson.
And the nominees are Coming to America,
Go Eddie. Yeah.
Cruella, Dune, The Eyes of Tammy Faye, and House of Gucci.
Oh, Gucci.
But yeah, Coming to America. Who would have thought?
Wow. Good
Wow,
for
that
Eddie
is-
Murphy, huh?
That is crazy.
Just like the prosthetics and stuff, I guess. But yeah, that's strange. Did anybody dress old in that movie? Probably.
It's an Eddie Murphy movie, of course. Someone
Yeah. But
That is weird. Okay. First movie that didn't come up at all, Coming to America, we never even mentioned
Yeah.
True.
as being a potential nominee, but here it is, Coming to America. Wow.
All right. Best production design.
Carter went with The French Dispatch, purely for Wes Anderson vibes of just sick production design. I think he had some cool sets. After I've seen this movie, I'm semi-confident in it. So lock it in. Booyah.
Yeah, my pick was The Green Knight, which in hindsight might be one of my better picks. I think got pretty good, pretty good. Yeah, we'll see. This is one that I really needed the book just to get a point on the board, because if not, might be one. But yeah, come on, The Green Knight, great. Great production design. The sets were pretty sick. Just visually, very fun movie, I think. So I'm confident in this one.
Yeah, I took Eternals in this category. Bad pick. I don't really know what I was thinking. I don't think this movie is gonna. I don't think The Green Knight's gonna show up anywhere on. I would actually. Here's my take. I don't think any three of these movies are gonna show up anywhere on these nominee lists. So
Really?
that's what I think. But
French Dispatch.
Yeah, I bet the Fresh Dispatch is somewhere on here. I don't buy that for a second.
so we'll see. Jackson, let's hear it. What's the word?
And the nominees are Dune, Nightmare Alley, The Power of the Dog, The Tragedy of Macbeth, and West Side Story.
Damn. Come on, man.
Not great.
Wow.
Not great. I mean,
Oh, that's tough.
It all makes sense in hindsight after seeing all these movies. Like they all had sick production designs that you just said. Dang.
the thing is, all of those movies we did pretty much nominate in other categories, which is what made this game so difficult.
Yes, true.
Those are I'm not going to, spoil anything, but those five are probably best picture contenders at least. So typically things that are in the best picture race get nominated for a bunch of other categories down the line. And, we chose three movies that are maybe on the outside looking in. So not great from us.
Tough.
That is very tough. I needed
All
that.
right, Cody.
I really needed it.
0 for 2.
And the next category is
This is a lock for Cody. So
best costume design.
Oh boy. I picked what's got to be a lock. I picked Cruella. That movie's all about costume design. So I'm locking that in, and I'm proud to be locked in with another lock, which is Cody's pick.
Yeah, absolutely. Game respect game out here, so I see it. But In the Heights was my pick. I think I had a great reasoning for this as well. Something around the lines of, they're dancing around, so it's got to be pretty strong costumes. I back it. If it's not nominated, that's on the Academy for not seeing that. But got to be In the Heights. I mean, I don't know. But yeah, we'll see. We'll see. Good pick.
I went House of Gucci here. My whole idea was that, it's costume design, Gucci clothing. Like if you're going to make a Gucci movie, you got to have good clothes. I guess my failure might, if this isn't nominated, is that like they didn't really have to do a lot of designing. They just, took a bunch of old Gucci and threw it on them. So what's the word, Jackson?
Well, do we want to play the clip for Cody's reason?
Well, let's see if Cody's right or not first.
Okay.
Oh, I'm sure I'm right. Yeah.
And the nominees are Cruella.
Yes.
I don't know how to say this. Cyrano?
Oh, Cyrano.
Peter Dinklage.
The Dinkster.
Dune, Nightmare Alley, and West Side Story.
Wow, Gucci not in there.
Go, Korbin. Eat that.
Oh, sorry. I should say, wow, In the Heights not in there. Wow.
Yeah, that's what should be said, actually.
Nightmare Alley. Wow.
Nightmare Alley's getting a lot of noms already, man.
I'm surprised. I thought Nightmare Alley was gonna have a rough day, but off to a good start.
Yeah, so technically In the Heights, because Kody was talking about the dancing and stuff, which we can play in a second. It didn't make it for that, but West Side Story did get it. So maybe that logic still applies. I'm just saying.
I was on the right track. Yeah, just
I think so.
I missed out on the 50-50 tough stuff.
All right. Do you want to move on to our next category, or do we want to?
Let's hear this take from Cody.
Why are we running this back, bro?
Let's run it back.
Yeah, let's run it back.
But the costumes sort of look like just like old timey, sort of a different era, you would say. And also this movie where they're dancing, they're singing, so they have to be legit material.
This is great.
I guarantee the In the Heights costumes are more durable than anything in Cruella or anything that Cobra's gonna pick. But
durability was not, I guess, their main concern.
I back that still. That's a hell of a statement, and I don't really think you can argue against that. They're the strongest costumes out here, man.
Well, it seems like the Academy did argue against it.
Wow.
If you would have used that reasoning for West Side Story, you guys wouldn't have said anything. That's
well,
all I
West
gotta
Side
say.
Story is actually like a period. Like
Yeah,
In the
it's
Heights.
period clothing. In the Heights is modern day, so I don't know.
Yeah.
Anyway.
It's like New York. They all dress like they're in the 60s anyways. Who knows? But,
There you go. You're back.
Thank you.
All right. And the next category is Best Sound.
Best sound. I took No Time to Die, strictly because of my Oscar history tells me that there's always a nominee in there of an action-y movie with like guns and cars. Ford v Ferrari was my inspiration here, so that's why I took it. We'll see if it paid out. Let's see if Oscar's history does me good here.
Yeah, I think this is gonna be another round where both of you guys got it right and I got it wrong, sadly. I picked Coda, which I think is more of a sleeper pick than anything else. Sort of deals with, the disability of losing your hearing and everything. Can't think of the word for some reason. But yeah, I don't think it made too much money. I don't know if the Academy even has it on its radar, but I still like the pick in general. So
Good
not
movie.
too bad. Yeah.
Coda is definitely one that's built a lot of steam in the last couple of weeks, so it might pop up here. I chose A Quiet Place Part 2. That movie came out so long ago. I mean, doesn't even remember it. It was like the first movie back in theaters, so I think that's its biggest negative is just timing.
And the nominees are Belfast, Dune, No Time to Die, The Power of the Dog, and West Side Story.
Wow, No Quiet Place.
I was surprised. I thought all of these would have gotten it, but alas.
Yeah, Coda was cool in the way that they used the sound design. Belfast, another movie we never talked about, right? Did we talk about Belfast at all?
Not at all. Not even mention it.
Man, what a great movie that is, though. Jeez, missed out there.
It was a big miss. We were sleeping on Kenneth.
Tough. Well, good for James Bond, I say. Booyah.
All right. And the next category is Best Visual Effects.
I felt really good about this pick back in September. Then the movie came out and people didn't like it. I picked Eternals. In hindsight, I probably should have picked just like Superman or be something safe, but no, I was like Eternals. Hell yeah. We'll see. I don't know. I don't feel good about it.
Yeah. I picked Dune, which I assume is on here. So I'm gonna get my first point. So everybody just feel happy for me right now because I'm on the board officially.
Huge.
Corbin, your pick is terrible here. If you get a point out of this, it's complete malarkey out here.
Uh-oh.
But yeah, go ahead. Explain your pick.
I took the Matrix 4. Carter said it before the podcast started. There was definitely visual effects in this movie.
Certainly were.
That's all I'll say.
Certainly were.
Possibly. I didn't see it for good reason.
And the nominees are Free Guy, No Time to Die, Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings,
Wow.
Spider-Man No Way Home, and Dune.
There he is.
Let's go.
I wanted to make him sweat a little bit.
Yeah, I
for
was gonna say I was getting nervous. Jackson.
Wow. I picked the wrong Marvel movie. Jeez.
that. It
Free
happens.
Guy.
Yeah,
Free Guy.
That's very surprising.
I was surprised by that too. All right. And the next category is best editing.
This was a throwaway category for me in September. I threw House of Gucci in there because I didn't know where else to put it. And I was like, oh, there's probably editing in it. They probably did some editing. So definitely don't feel good about this. Also, with the way that it's looking right now, don't see a lot of House of Gucci on the board. So don't feel good. Kody, what about you?
Yeah, for this one, I went with the French Dispatch. You know, back in the day, I didn't know much about it. Obviously, you got a strong director at the helm. Maybe there's good editors. So I don't know. This one could be on here. I wouldn't be too surprised if it went either way. So, but yeah, French Dispatch. Why not?
Editing, I think we all kind of struggled with. I chose The Green Knight, a little bit of a throwaway, but also at the same time, I was like, editing kind of plays a role in the way the story is formed with some storytelling devices. Either way, I don't feel too confident, and I don't like the fact that I'm tied with Kody right now.
And the nominees are Don't Look Up, Dune, King Richard, The Power of the Dog, Tick, Tick, Boom.
Wow. Nice. Good O for there, boys.
That's
I'm
tough.
a second half player.
Yeah, I feel like out of those three, I was maybe the closest on that one too. And Tick Tick Boom has come back to haunt me again. Come on, editing. Where you at for freaking makeup and hairstyling? But yeah, that's tough.
Next category is Best Original Score.
I am so excited to talk about this category. Not for mine, but for someone else's. I picked Dune, Hans Zimmer. This was the best score I heard all year. You kidding? The freaking bagpipes, the drums, the guttural sounds. Give me Dune all day. Kody, please take like 20 minutes to talk about yours.
Okay. No, Dune's a good pick. You know, that was pretty obvious. Went with the safe choice. I went I went a little bit more out there. You know, back in September, supposedly there was a movie coming out called Pinocchio, directed by Guillermo del Toro, which I believe I got wrong in the episode anyways. But yeah, the trailer's come out recently. You know, it looks good. It looks a little edgy. Got some fun stop motion. I'm sure the music is not the music, the score is pretty fun and, you know, out there for everything else. But yeah, in hindsight, I said this in the episode as well. Like, this movie probably won't come out, but I just want to give it a shout out anyways. So Pinocchio, it could still make the list. I mean, who knows? Maybe I think it was just robbed if it wasn't, but yeah, big fan.
I think we need to tell the listeners that Korbin has already preemptively marked it red. Just so everyone knows.
Well, to be fair, it did not come out.
It did not come out. So
the only movie that anybody picked, which is pretty surprising considering all the delays and COVID, the only movie that did not get released this year that we picked, Pinocchio. And now they're making 3 of them this year, Kody. So you could.
What if it comes out this year and it gets nominated? Do I get a point retroactively or no?
Yeah, sure. You're still going to be way behind. Okay. So,
hey, we're tied right now, buddy. So something down.
My pick is another Hans Zimmer score with No Time to Die. I didn't feel too confident in this, but I was like, at least, you know, I'm giving it a good shot with Hans.
No chance.
And the nominees are Don't Look Up, Dune, Encanto, Parallel Mothers, and The Power of the Dog.
What?
Wow.
Encanto. Yeah, did you say Dune?
I said Dune.
Oh, yeah. I'm sorry. I blacked out. I was too excited.
Encanto. That took Pinocchio's spot. Yeah, come on.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
While Pinocchio did not get released this year, let's hear what was going through Kody's head.
So I went for something very different. Went for a film called Pinocchio, which is supposedly coming out this year. So being directed by George Miller, and it's a stop motion animation musical. And I wanted to bring the cast into it just to bring my argument up. It's got a banging cast: Tilda Swinton, Christopher Waltz, Ewan McGregor. It probably won't even be released this year, if I'm being brutally honest. Also, it probably won't even see the light of day for like the next 5 years. But if it does happen to come out, I think it will be nominated in this category. It should have great music. George Miller is obviously a great director. And cats like that, they can sing, they can do it all. They got great voices. So yeah, this is sort of the category I ran out on, and I'm throwing Pinocchio out there.
I love it.
George Miller is a good director. I mean, you can't deny that.
Amazing.
Happy Feet. Wow.
There's probably too much for us to unpack.
All right, let's stop clipping me. Let's stop clipping me and make me look dumb now. I guess.
Those are all the clips.
I hate to break it to you. The script is brutal to you.
Oh
but
no.
it's okay. We'll get there.
Shout out Parallel Mothers. Wow.
The next category is Best Cinematography.
I went with Tragedy of Macbeth because I knew at the time this movie was going to be in black and white, and it was a Shakespeare film, and it was a Cohen at the helm. So I was like, gotta look dope. And black and white, the Academy is a sucker for black and white movies, hence Tragedy of Macbeth. Kody?
Yeah, no, that is actually a great pick. If I had to, spoilers alert, but that's definitely my top tier for who might win. Yeah, I went on the opposite end. We've all made a mistake with this movie. I went the biggest for it for some reason, but I picked Eternals. I had some faith in Chloe Zhao. She was talking about like practical effects and stuff before, and then it came out and the CGI is terrible. So yeah, no chance Eternals is nominated here, but I think
it's pretty good. Like I thought the cinematography was good. It looked cool.
Yeah. The cinematography. I mean, in general, it's good. It's Chloe Zhao, but the movie is not going to get nominated based off of what you're seeing on screen. I'm sorry, no chance.
Yeah, tough.
Yeah.
My pick here was The French Dispatch. Obviously not feeling too confident because earlier I said I didn't think it was going to get nominated for anything. But, there's also black and white portions of this movie too. So
That's true. You got that going for you.
Maybe.
And the nominees are Dune, Nightmare Alley, The Power of the Dog, The Tragedy of Macbeth, and West Side Story.
Ooh, man, Nightmare Alley, come to play.
Yeah, getting a lot of love.
Yeah.
Power of the Dog has basically been nominated for everything as well.
Is The French Dispatch going to get skunked?
It might.
Holy cow.
So Kody is noticeably on a bit of a losing streak, especially because he wanted to nominate Chloe Zhao for Best Cinematography when she was only the director of the movie. So let's hear that clip.
Oh my gosh.
I think she could pull it out, so I'm going Chloe Zhao.
Could that be back-to-back cinematography wins for Chloe Zhao? I think she
That'd
won
be
last
insane.
year.
Well, I do hate
Yes, she
to.
did.
Well, I hate to break. Well, I don't think she won. I think Mank won. But she was nominated.
Oh, did she?
And
Okay.
She
I
was.
thought she won.
The thing about Nomadland is she was the director, cinematographer, and editor for that.
She did it all.
Eternals is a guy named Ben Davis doing the actual cinematography. But if
Um,
Chloe Zhao is, directing, and she obviously has cinematography experience, she's gonna have a large role in the way this movie looks. I like the pick.
Thanks for
Nice.
calling me out, Corbin. Thank you.
Well, I could call you out and tell you that Pinocchio is being directed by Guillermo del Toro, not George Miller. So
oh no.
Oh, I got those mixed up.
Oh,
you
for
should've called me
two.
out. I have that on my notes. I said the wrong name. Oh,
obviously,
What are these
Iconic.
clips, bro? These clips are ridiculous. That one wasn't even funny.
just true though.
I thought it was funny.
Yeah, Chloe Zhao. Yeah, she directed. She got her hand in it, but yeah,
Yeah.
good clip.
Corbin tried to save you there. He got your back there at the beginning.
All
Yeah.
right, we have reached the end of our technical awards. So I think it's time for a little score update. In first place, we have Carter with 5 predictions, I believe. 1, 2, 3,
That was
5.
funny.
And Kody and Korbin are both tied right now with 1 correct prediction.
Wow.
Yeah, I think we should cut the pod
Yeah.
here. No more guests.
This dude was talking a big game earlier. I don't know. He's tied with me right now. So
This
I'm
is-
just Carter's hype man. This guy, he's
Hell
good.
yeah.
I'm here for him.
I
I
love
hope
it.
Corbin gets every single one wrong and Carter gets every single one right.
My guy, Kody.
We've also been, harping on Kody a little bit too hard. So now we got a clip about Korbin being demonstrably wrong on The Green Knight getting nominated for anything. So let's hear it.
Oh no.
Let's go.
I see this
That's
as a
sick.
movie that's going to get a lot of nominations, probably not a lot of wins, but I think it'll, especially these categories,
That's
production
interesting.
design, costume design,
The
cinematography.
technicals, yeah.
Like I think it is a very technically impressive movie, but I don't know if it'll win a lot of these categories. No Green Light love. They hate the Green Knight.
That movie's great.
Bad
It's
take
a
from
really
me.
good movie.
I
I
think
don't think it's a bad take, personally.
Yeah.
But
I think it was robbed in a couple categories, honestly.
absolutely it was.
Well, you were 50% right, Corbin. You didn't get a lot of nominations and it didn't get a lot of wins. So you
That
were
is
right
true.
on that front. Yeah.
All right. This brings us into our next category, Best Animated Movie.
I went with Mitchell's versus the Machines, purely because it was my favorite animated movie at the time, and having not seen anything else, and it still is right now. I think it's fun. I think it's the film lovers animated movie. Mitchell's versus the Machines. Boom.
Definitely good pick. I went more Pixar. I think they had a couple movies this year. I don't even know. Luca, though, was by far the most popular, I believe. And I did see it, and I did enjoy it. So, it's Pixar. They got the rep, and I think it will be nominated. So I'll take another point here.
Nice.
I went Mitchell's versus the Machines as well for everything Carter said. Netflix getting their noms. Shout out to them. Power of the Dog and Mitchell's versus the Machines. Supremacy.
Huge.
Don't look up.
And the nominees are Encanto, Flea, Luca, Raya and the Last Dragon, and the Mitchells versus the Machines.
Ooh, sweating it out there.
Our first category, we were all got it.
Clean
Look
sweep.
at us. Big animated guys.
Oh, yeah.
Flea. Raya. Nice.
Yeah, Ray and the Last Dragon. That one's kind of surprising, I feel like. But
That came out so long ago. Wow.
yeah.
And the next category is Best Original Screenplay.
I went with my boy Adam McKay here, who has been nominated every single time he's put one up, I think. I went with Don't Look Up. I think he'll go 3 for 3 just in nominations. So Don't Look Up, Adam McKay.
Yeah, definitely a good pick. If we were picking in hindsight, I would pick that as well. But I went with Last Night in Soho. Obviously, the guy Edgar Wright. I don't know. I'm kind of nervous because there hasn't been too many nominations on the technical side with everything. But I think Edgar Wright, he's got the rep. It is a decent movie, so we'll see. Last Night, why not?
I also took Don't Look Up. I know Cody was very mad that Carter and I matched on 2 picks in a row, but I think we were 2 for 2 on 2 picks in a row. So let's
Very
hear it,
nice.
Jackson.
And the nominees are Belfast, King Richard, Licorice Pizza, The Worst Person in the World, and Don't Look Up.
Whoa. The worst person in the world.
Yes.
That's big time. That movie ain't in English, boys and girls. I think it's like Danish or Swedish or something.
I think you're right.
I thought it was
One of those
French.
two. Could be a European language. We'll go with that. Wow. That's nice. Sorry, Cody.
Yeah, that's tough. That's all right.
And the next category is Best Adapted Screenplay.
Screw me. I'm not getting a point here. I picked The Humans.
Finally.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I had 4 in a row. I haven't heard anyone talk about this movie. I saw it. It was just fine. I picked it because it was based on a play. And I was like, oh, the Academy loves plays into movies. But I haven't heard anyone talking about it since it came out. I think it just came out quietly on Showtime or something. So not confident in that. But I am somewhat confident in Cody's, I think.
Yeah, we're switching sides here. You picked a movie I still don't think I've ever heard of. And
Not worth your time.
I picked a shoe in. So West Side Story, I mean, it's obviously got a lot of critical attention, and I would assume it's nominated here. So I'll take another point. Yeah, appreciate it.
Nice.
I went The Last Duel. It was more of just the nostalgia of the Matt and Ben of it all is what I was hoping would pull it out. And I don't know, they didn't really campaign too hard. This movie made like $5 million at the box office.
Tough.
And then everyone forgot about it because it literally left theaters a week later and was never to be seen again.
Such a bummer.
And the nominees are Coda, Drive My Car, Dune, The Lost Daughter, and The Power of the Dog.
Oh my God.
That's bad. Robbery. Highway robbery we just witnessed.
That feels like a snub. Drive My Car. Wow.
Another foreign language film. Also, The Worst Person in the World, Norwegian.
Norwegian.
Oh, nice.
Wow.
Drive My
Cody, I
Car,
thought for
Japanese
sure.
film.
Yeah, that's tough. Don't
Yeah, they're
clip
called
that.
international films, by the way.
Wow.
Not
Oh
foreign
yeah, it's not
films.
foreign language anymore.
Come on, get with the
Wow.
times.
Well, it is in a foreign language, for the record.
Well, it
That's
is.
It's not.
Let's-
It's not incorrect.
All right, mister. Anyways. And the next category is Best Director.
Here we go. My guy, PTA, Paul Thomas Anderson for Licorice Pizza. I loved this movie. There's a lot of controversy online about it. I think people are reading the movie the wrong way. I think it's a beautiful movie, and it has to do all with Paul Thomas Anderson. Licorice Pizza. Give me to it.
Definitely good pick there. I didn't know there. I think it is a good pick, but I don't think it's going to get nominated. I took Nia DaCosta for Candyman, which is a movie I do enjoy, and I think Nia DaCosta deserves, more attention. But this did come out pretty early on in the year, and I don't think it's getting much Oscar buzz, so probably not going to get nominated.
I went Last Night in Soho, Edgar Wright. I was pretty disappointed by this film, all in all. I do think Edgar Wright's a pretty good director. I think Scott Pilgrim is like one of the better directed movies of the last 10 years, or I guess probably 12 at this point. But I don't think this is also good. Carter is just destroying us at this point. So let's hear it, Jackson.
So good.
And the nominees are Kenneth Branagh, Belfast, Ryusuke Hamaguchi, Drive My Car,
Wow.
Paul Thomas Anderson, Licorice Pizza, Jane Campion, The Power of the Dog, and Steven Spielberg for West Side Story.
Wow, Steven snuck in there. Wow. The love for Drive My Car is wild.
Yeah, that's actually really cool. I would
Love
never
it.
guessed it. Millionaires.
Wow. Good for them.
I've heard a lot of good things, but it's 3 hours long. So
Yeah, it's a journey.
Just driving a car for 3 hours.
I don't know. I haven't seen it. Somebody else is driving the car. They're driving my
Right.
car.
Good point.
And the next category is Best Supporting Actor.
I felt really good about this pick early on. I picked Jason Isaacs in Mass, which was by far the saddest movie I saw this past year. I don't think anyone's been talking about it, and I think that is just blasphemy. But yeah, I don't think it's going to be there, but I highly recommend this movie if you want a good cry, introspective time. Mass, Jason Isaacs.
I could always use a good cry. I took Adam Driver for The Last Duel, which I've been hyping up for a while, but I don't believe he's going to be nominated for this, sadly. I could be dead wrong, but I'd be very surprised. But yeah, big Adam Driver guy. I think no regrets with this pick. I'd take him pretty much any other Oscar season as well.
Nice.
Yeah, I went Kody likes to say that The Matrix 4 was my worst pick, but I think this was my worst pick, going Benicio del Toro, No Sudden Move. I just didn't have any idea what to do here. So I picked somebody who was a supporting actor in a movie. So I think we're going 0 for 3 again.
And the nominees are Clarin Hines for Belfast, Troy Katsu for Coda, Jesse Plemons for Power of the Dog, J.K. Simmons for Being the Ricardos, and Cody Schmidt McPhee for Power of the Dog.
Power of the Dog unite.
Power of the Dog's going off. That's
Mhm.
actually crazy. They've been nominated basically every category. Give him 2 there. Yeesh.
Wait, yeah, that's tough, but can I just really quickly go back and just realize that Denis Villeneuve didn't get nominated for Best Director for Dune?
That is true.
Yeah.
That's bonkers. Holy shit. Anyway, sorry. Anyway, supporting actor, we suck.
That is crazy. What the hell?
Jeez. Okay. Wow.
All right. And the next category is Best Supporting Actress.
I'm thinking I picked the wrong Coda actor here. I picked Marlee Matlin for Coda, who won an Oscar previously for a very similar role. It could happen. We'll see. Coda was just a heartwarming film, but I'm glad there's a nominee for an acting performance in there. But we'll see. Marlee Matlin.
Yeah, definitely good. I think you might be right there. But I went Kate Blanchett, Nightmare Alley. I think she might have even been like the top billing female. So I don't know if this is a great pick, but I would be surprised if she's on there. So yeah, we'll see. Kate Blanchett, obviously, very, very good actress. But Nightmare Alley, has been getting noms as well. So
That's
maybe I'll
true.
be surprised here, but I highly doubt it. Corbino?
I went Kirsten Dunst, Power of the Dog. This might actually be a chance for me to gain some ground, even though I'm pretty sure there's no chance I could beat Carter at this point. But I have faith in Mary Jane.
And the nominees are Jessie Buckley for The Lost Daughter, Ariana DeBose for West Side Story, Judi Dench for Belfast, Kirsten Dunst for The Power of the Dog, and and Juan. Okay, I don't know how to pronounce this person's name.
Oh, Anjani.
Ellis.
What's her name? Is
Yes.
it King Richard?
Yes, for King Richard. So sorry on that butchering.
Oh, nice job, Korbin.
That's like
Finally.
quick, honestly. Kirsten Dunst out of nowhere.
Cody hated on that pick very heavily.
Oh, I
too.
definitely did.
Kirsten Dunst, she's a fucking terrible actor.
I still back it.
She was good. She was good in it. All right, and the next category is Best Actor.
So we get 2 picks here. I picked, my first one was Benedict Cumberbatch in The Power of the Dog, which I feel good about. And I also feel very good about Will Smith in King Richard, which I believe at the time also Cody was giving us shit about picking Will Smith for King Richard.
I definitely was. Yeah. Will Smith, not a good actor. But my picks, I'm feeling semi-confident. My first one is obviously Denzel for Tragedy of Macbeth. I assume that's a shoo-in, but I'll probably be wrong. My second one, I threw out Oscar Isaac for The Card Counter. Interesting pick in hindsight. I think back then that was actually a decent pick. That movie's getting some buzz, and I do like Oscar Isaac as an actor, but I would also assume he has no chance of getting nominated. So I'll take 1 out of 2 and be happier.
I went 2 picks I'm feeling confident about. Obviously, both of you have also chosen each of them. So I went King Richard, Will Smith, really great performance, one of my favorite movies of the year. And then Denzel doing Shakespeare. I mean, if that doesn't get a nominee, then I don't think the Oscar should even exist anymore.
True.
All right, and the nominees are Javier Bardem for Being the Ricardos, Benedict Cumberbatch for The Power of the Dog, Andrew Garfield for Tick, Tick, Boom, Will Smith for King Richard, and Denzel Washington for Tragedy of Macbeth.
There you go.
Andrew Garfield. I did not expect that one either. I feel like they
For
had
him. Good for Andrew.
Yeah, good for him. I feel like
I'm
they
pretty
had
happy for that.
one extra one. But yeah, big ups to that guy.
Yeah, and
Big
on top of
ups.
that, let's roll the clip of Cody hating on Will Smith.
Um,
I also think Will Smith will get an Oscar nod with King Richard.
Wow.
I think Cody, you don't realize that this is the time. I almost feel like this is a guarantee, even if the
Mhm.
performance isn't that great.
he's
I
been
think
through
he'll
so
get a nom.
much. Entanglements, man. Get him a
Yeah.
nom.
Who would have thought the
Um,
guy from Gemini Man was going to be best actor? But not me.
Not a Gemini Man fan, Cody?
I did say he might get nominated, to be fair, but that is, I mean, the guy from After Earth and Gemini Man might be the best actor of the year. So kinda
He's
strange.
winning. He's winning, Cody. I just want to make that very clear.
I wouldn't be surprised at all, honestly. Yeah, I back it. Big Will Smith guy, great actor. Yeah.
And now for our next category, Best Actress.
Picked 2 again here. One of them will be interesting to talk about because I think we all 3 picked them. My first one was Jennifer Hudson in Respect, which is a movie at the time that seemed like it had a lot of steam, but I think it's fallen off. So I don't feel great about that. And the other one I feel good about, Kristen Stewart in Spencer. So 1 for 2, I think, here. But who knows? J Hud could sneak in there. I don't know.
Sure. I mean, I hope so, because I also picked her, obviously. Yeah, I think when we recorded the first time, like I had just seen for the trailer for the movie, and it looked like a really powerful performance. Like Carter said, it has lost a little bit of steam, I believe, and it's the Oscar baitiness. But my other pick was, of course, Lady Gaga for House of Gucci. I mean, if she's not nominated, I will be genuinely disappointed because I think that might be the funniest thing in the world. But the House of Gucci, it sort of had mixed reviews and everything. I do think, I don't know, I feel like she will get nominated still. So I have hope.
Father, Son, House of Gucci. I also took Jennifer Hudson, Respect, like the other 2. I don't know. It was up and then down and then maybe up in the last couple of weeks. So there's still a chance. And then I took West Side Story, Rachel Zegler. She had not acted in anything. So it was really a big question mark. But there was she was casted in 4 different things before this movie even came out. So I was like, she must be good. So, and it was West Side Story. I figured it'd get a lot of nominations. So let's see.
And the nominees are Jessica Chastain for The Eyes of Tammy Faye, Olivia Colman for The Lost Daughter, Penelope Cruz for Parallel Mothers, Nicole Kidman for Being the Ricardos, and Kristen Stewart for Spencer.
Wow. Lady Gaga absolutely robbed. Tough.
Man, that Transylvanian accent didn't get her in. That's tough.
Hey, she put a lot of work into that, man. Come on.
That she did. That Italian American could not do an Italian accent.
I'm
Wild stuff.
surprised Rachel Ziegler didn't get nominated, honestly. I was going to say that's a hell of a pick, Korbin.
I liked that pick.
Yeah.
Man, poor J Hud. We really missed the ball there, huh, boys? Jeez.
Yeah. Not great. They didn't really, I mean, I guess they didn't really go for the playing real people thing too much in that category. other than Princess Diana.
Yeah.
All right. And the last and final category goes to Best Picture.
Well, it was a tough pick at the time, but I feel good about it now with all the love that it's getting. My first one was Nightmare Alley, which I feel like has somehow snuck in, and I love that. And I think West Side Story also, feel pretty good about that, is going to get in there too. So with the director nom as well. So yeah, I'll go with Nightmare Alley and West Side Story.
Oh man, I am not feeling too confident about these eyes. You guys are both finishing strong. I don't know. Spencer was my first pick. I feel like that's a fringe pick. I don't know. I feel like you go either way. And then being the Ricardos as well, it has gotten a lot of noms. But I mean, Best Picture is tough. It's only 10 movies, so you got to pick the best 10. I feel like these are probably around that 7 to 15 range. It can go either way, but we'll see. Maybe they're both in.
Yeah, I don't know. I think we all did pretty decent here. The fact that Denis did not get nominated for Best Director kind of scares me, considering I did pick Dune here for Best Picture. And then I went Licorice Pizza for PTA, which for the record at the time was Soggy Bottom, but they didn't want to stick with that one, I guess. Working titles, whatever.
Bummer.
All right. And the nominees are Belfast, Coda, Don't Look Up, Drive My Car, Dune, King Richard, Licorice Pizza, Nightmare Alley, The Power of the Dog, and West Side Story.
Oh my God. Dude.
Dang, Cody.
I told you they weren't going to be out of there. That's tough.
I thought being the Ricardos might sneak in.
Yeah.
Guess not. Wow. Drive My Car. That's, man. Are we going to have a Parasite moment with Drive My Car? Gee.
Might.
Sheesh. I love it.
You want the final scores, boys and girls?
Oh,
The
man.
final scores.
All right. Coming in third place with 3 correct predictions is Kody.
Yeah.
In second place with 8 correct predictions is Korbin. And coming in with a whopping 13 correct predictions all the way from the Rough Cut Retrospective, Carter. Heck yeah.
Showing out for my Robin over there.
Yeah. And then also really quick, one more interesting fact. I have the top 5 most nominated movies. So coming in at number 5, we got King Richard with 6 nominations, Belfast with 7, West Side Story at 8 nominations, Dune with 10, and The Power of the Dog with 12 nominations.
Sheesh.
Yeah.
So Netflix's year? They gonna
Might
get
be.
it? Wow.
It's really crazy that Dune got all those nominations and Denis was not one of them. I think that's the biggest shock.
I agree. That's
That's
pretty
the
crazy.
biggest snub. I cannot believe that. That's wild. Wow. Tick Tick Boom, I thought would get a Best Picture nom, but maybe not. That's a bummer.
Yeah.
Well, congratulations to Carter and Kody. I'm sorry. I don't know what to say.
Well, appreciate it. I think I did well, honestly. Only 3 points out of whatever, but a couple of mine were close. And, Korbin was talking a big game and he got blown out. So I'm not too mad.
On paper, I thought Kody had a pretty decent chance, and I was kind of surprised going through it. But
Kody, you were just as close to me as I was to Carter. So you got
There you go.
You got double.
Well, he's a math wizard. Get out of here, bro. Carter, I was expected. I mean, what was it? 13 out of what we do 18? I feel like that's difficult to do from like 3 or 4 months ahead. So I do respect it. That's pretty crazy.
Yeah.
Listen, all my prior obsessions with the Academy Awards seems to, I guess, kind of paid off. So good stuff.
You
Thank
love
you,
it.
boys. Appreciate you.
Fair enough.
Yep. Carter got a 1 with a 65% accuracy. So Really good work. No, I can't knock it. This was a lot of fun. Obviously, the whole point we did it was just to kind of highlight some movies that were coming out. I think we did a good job of that. We'll see in September again this year what happens. Maybe we could do this again.
Hell yeah.
Some notable things. Obviously, some movies that we didn't even mention that got some nominations: Coming to America, Cyrano, Belfast. That's a big miss on our part. Belfast.
Huge miss.
Drive My Car also seems like a pretty big miss. Lost Daughter, Parallel Mothers, Worst Person in the World all came up a couple times. And then Free Guy. I mean, how'd we forget about Free Guy?
Free Guy.
Shang-Chi, Spider-Man, Encanto, Raya and the Last Dragon, and Flea all missed out in our initial nominations.
Spider-Man didn't get that Best Picture nomination. Tough.
In hindsight, I really should have just nominated Spider-Man for visual effects. I don't know why.
Yeah,
I
what
didn't
were
do-
we thinking?
Maybe we didn't think it was going to come out. I guess that like it might get pushed
I
because it
don't
was so
know.
late. I'm not
Oh,
sure.
chance. Went with the Matrix 4 for unknown reasons instead, but yeah.
Hey, I think I think it's 6. I think it's right on the outside.
No chance. Terrible argument.
Thank
Wow.
you so much to the boys of the Rough Cut Retrospect for coming back on the show again. I think we got some cool stuff, some potential future collaborations we'll work on together. Obviously,
Mhm.
check out their podcast. They just did a fantasy draft, which I loved listening to. And then check us out there this Friday. Do you guys want to plug some socials real quick?
Yeah, we got one social. It's Instagram, and the handle is at roughcut_pod. Give us a follow.
And join us this week, as he said, on Friday, because we'll be having these boys on and we'll talk our predictions for the nominations we just went through. And Kody
love it.
will win.
Yeah, hopefully I do a little better. But
We'll see. Before you guys go, since it's the season 3 finale, we're starting a new CAP tradition called I've come up with this name. Netflix has an algorithm. We have a Podgorithm. I have this blockbuster board game. I'm going to pull a random movie, and then you guys get 30 seconds to give a hot take and whether or not you recommend it. It's going to be timed. Got the stopwatch right here.
Oh, this is
Oh my
sick.
goodness.
This is sick.
Pulling a random movie out. You're going to have to go off top. We'll start with Carter to give his take
Okay.
first, since he is the winner. Winners go first. The movie, look at that. This is a fun one for this group. X-Men.
whoa.
Just
All
the
right.
OG X-Men.
OG X-Men, starting the timer. You got 30 seconds. Go.
Hot take. Ray Park is the best part of this film. As Toad. You know what happens with the Toad that gets struck by lightning? Something about it. Same thing that happens to everything else. Am I right? Hugh Jackman's hair is absolutely ridiculous in this movie. And I think James Marsden is the hottest man on planet Earth. Is that enough hot takes?
Yep.
Boom.
All right.
Very
Huge.
We'll move on to Cody.
Uh-oh. Oh, we're still talking about X-Men? Oh, what a movie, man. Actually, out of the original trilogy, hot take, this one might be the worst. The costumes are terrible. Obviously, The Last Dance very bad. But
That is a hot
X2
take.
X2, mad underrated. Screw X-Men 1. I'm talking about X2. Nightcrawler. Come on, that opening scene. Goated. Freaking Pyro. Dude, Pyro is sick. I mean, obviously, the first one's a good setup, blah, blah, blah. Toad is fun, but I don't know. Mystique, not a great villain in the first one. Big ups in the second one, though.
Time. Jackson.
Ooh, wow. Okay. Sabretooth is hilarious in that movie, especially with the X-Men Wolverine's origins movie, contextualizing that universe. It's hilarious. They should have done crazy costumes instead of the leather CW stuff that they were going with. And Rogue's accent is just dog shit, and she shouldn't have been in it. I don't know. She's terrible, but and she should fly and have super strength like she does in the comics. And I'll end it there.
And now I go. You guys have kind of pretty much taken everything I said. First of all, I don't know if this is the worst one in the trilogy, but X2 definitely superior. Opening scene in the White House. Nightcrawler is probably my favorite character of all the X-Men, so I think that's sick. Like Jackson said, costumes were terrible. Except, you know what? What better? I mean, listen, we just had Spider-Man No Way Home come out, and this ending fight was on the Statue of Liberty. Talk about being prescient in future time. Oh, that's time.
Love it.
I had nothing to say. You guys took it all.
That's
All right.
fun.
Yeah,
That's
we're
a
gonna
good
be
one.
doing that every episode for season 3. This is a really fun board game too. If the boys ever come to visit, we'll have to break it out and play. Cody loves to yell.
A little violent. Yeah.
Absolutely.
So fun.
I'll drive down.
Thanks so much for listening. We're going to take a quick commercial break. And when we come back, Kody and I will be answering some of your questions and reacting to your hot takes. So stay tuned for that. Rough Cut Retrospective, Batman and Robin, thanks for coming on.
Appreciate it, guys.
We out.
Thank you.
And we're back. Once again, just want to thank Jackson and Carter for coming on the podcast. That was a lot of fun. Obviously, we mentioned this top. We were recording this ahead of time. Kody, any predictions for how that game just turned out? Do you think you won the Oscar nominee game?
Oh, bold prediction right off the bat. Yeah, I think I won by a landslide. I don't think it was close. Korbin probably came in last, actually. I came in first. And Carter, he was close to me. Not really, but yeah. He knows his stuff mostly, but not this year, So bold prediction there. Yeah.
I was looking through the people we nominated again, and I think Carter has probably got the win here in hindsight. My prediction, Carter's going to get 12. I'm going to get 11, and Kody, you're going to come in with a solid 8 points at the end of it. So
I'd be happy with 8 points, if I'm being honest right now. So
that's my prediction. 8 of 21.
That's not bad. Could be a lot worse. Lady Gaga's definitely getting nominated. So
well, that's one of your 8. So. All right. Well, one of us will be right, and one of us will be wrong, unless I win, and then we'll both be wrong.
We're just,
Yeah. I think
right now.
I think I'm right. So, like we mentioned at the top, we're gonna go through some viewer submitted hot takes, Q&A type things, a little bit of prompts, just some stuff that the viewers wanted to hear from us. And I'm really excited. Have a lot of good stuff. So why don't we just go ahead and get into it with our we're gonna start with our hot takes first. Once again, go check out Kody on the Rough Cut Retrospective, where he responded to some hot takes, gave some of his own. He's the hot take king around here. So let's see what he thinks of these hot takes. First one's coming in from Kody Webb himself. Host submitted hot take. Korbin's the better host. Kody, what are your thoughts?
Dang, this is a spicy one. I don't know who would ever think this, No, this is probably valid. I don't know. I feel like everybody probably has their personal favorite on the pod, but mine's Korbin. He's got great insight. Most of his takes are good. Some of them I disagree with strongly. We know that. But evidently I've been branded as the hot take guy. I'm fine with that. It's a decent rep to have. But Korbin's over here. He's steady. He knows what he's talking about. And he's gotta be my favorite host. So that's my hot take today. Coming off being a nice guy, come on.
Ending season 2 with some heartwarming sentiment. I really appreciate that. Kody, obviously you're my favorite host. I would say I'm the more prepared host at times.
No chance. I'm always prepared.
When it comes to planning and everything behind the scenes for the podcast, that's all me. Kody gets to sit back. Once he's done recording, boom, he's done. He's clocked out. Job's over.
I'm not getting paid for those hours, so I'm not talking about.
Hey, first check coming in a year.
I'll take it. Korbin is a big behind the scenes guy. Always brainstorming, just a massive brainstorm guy. I really do respect that. And I try to, contribute, the amount I can. But
here's what I do. I bring the ideas. Kody perfects them, tells me what's good.
That's true.
Where are we at? So
you're the idea guy. I'm the execution guy.
Yeah, it's a good relationship. A lot of great ideas coming in season 3, so you better stick around. Kody just hit himself in the face with his mic. So let's move on to our next hot take. This comes from Luke Manning. He actually sent in a ton of takes, so we're gonna go through a couple of his here. Season 3 future guest, so look out for him soon on the pod. One of my fellow film school classmates, Luke Manning's first take. Dunkirk is Christopher Nolan's best film. Kody, what do you think?
I'll tell you what, man. This is a hot one off the bat as well. Dunkirk, I think I've only seen it twice, to be fair. I've seen a lot of other Nolan movies a lot more times. But, I mean, for me, it's one of his upper mid tiers. I think it is a good movie. It can be very slow at parts, but the action and the intensity of it especially is very good. I don't really know why Tom Hardy's in the movie, if I'm being honest. That whole plot is kind of strange to me. But I'd say it's not his best. That is a hot take. I'd say it's hovering around the top 5 for me. Just to list them out. Obviously, Dark Knight, Prestige, one of my personal favorites. I think you have to put Inception and Batman Begins in there as well. And then that 5, 6, 7 range is sort of like you could go Tenet, you could go Memento. But sure, let's throw Dunkirk at 5. I like it enough to say it's a top 5 Nolan.
See, yeah, I disagree. I really do. I don't think Dunkirk's that great. It's okay. It is mid, I guess, tier for Nolan. But when you have movies like Inception, The Prestige, The Dark Knight, those are obvious. Those 3 I think are clearly better. And I appreciate Memento, Tenet, and Interstellar even more. So I got it in at 7. The thing about it that I just don't like is I think it lacks any heart. Like you mentioned, not understanding why Tom Hardy is even in the movie. I don't like. Nolan makes these movies that are like supposed to be like filled with these high concept emotional themes, and I feel like he just like didn't do that at all with this movie, and it's where it really lacks. I think a lot of its character and story structure is based around like the whole, oh, let's do it a week, an hour, in a day. So then you get stuff like the Tom Hardy interaction where like because of the story structure that you have to have that. Whereas at the end of the day, it's an impressive feat. It's a cool movie. The orange teal look is really fantastic, but it lacks any like connection to the characters beyond, oh yeah, these are the good guys because they're the British and it's World War II. That's my take.
Yeah, 100%. Honestly, I definitely back that. The thing with Dunkirk is there's not really.
I have only seen it once as well, so I gotta admit, I maybe I should rewatch it.
Yeah, I mean, same. I haven't seen that many times. I mean, but based off what you're saying, I mean, the characters are just not super strong in that movie. It's more of sort of an accurate depiction of maybe what the war would have been, and you can't really get attached to anybody because everybody's dying because it's war, which is an interesting concept. But I agree, not one of the best Nolan's films. Nolan's best, whatever.
So continuing on with this take, we have a couple that are kind of linked here, directors. So this one's from Jake Ross, and he says, your favorite name, well, maybe your second favorite name, third favorite name, Denis Villeneuve is greater than Christopher Nolan, is Jake's take sent to us by Twitter. Former guest. Is Denis Villeneuve better than Christopher Nolan, Kody?
The short answer, probably not yet. I like this take.
This is my take as well. Take as well.
Denis is obviously on the rise. He's one of the better directors working today. However, I mean, to say he's better than Nolan at this point in his career, I would say is a little far-fetched. But, I mean, that's not really his fault. He just hasn't made as many movies as Nolan. So, I mean, in hindsight, this might be a great take from Junior. But as of now, I can't back this in the slightest.
Yeah, Nolan's got like 10 years on him. So
it's really not a fair comparison at this point.
For me, I think Nolan's best. So like, again, that 3 of Inception, Prestige, and Dark Knight is personally better than Denis' best, which I think is Arrival at this point. I know you love Arrival, so it's a little hard to compare. I would say Interstellar is kind of just like a shitty version of Arrival in a way. Similar themes. Bunch
of time stuff in both of them.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. Similar themes, time travel, sci-fi, great acting performances at the core. Personally, I think Enemy is too low of a low for me when you're taking Denis' filmography, but I haven't gotten a chance to check out Sicario or Incendies yet, which I do know are 2 appreciated films of his. So Prisoners is great. I'm very excited to see what he does next. Dune and Batman, I think, are kind of like in a similar place right now. So seeing what he does with Dune is, similar to what maybe Christopher Nolan was able to do with the character of Batman. So when that trilogy finishes up or that 2 movies finishes, maybe we can have this conversation again.
Yeah.
Which leads us into our next take, which is again from Luke Manning. Denis Villeneuve is the best working director today. Where are you at on this, Kody?
This is a better question, I think. Much more debatable than Junior's. I would say maybe, but my take is still Nolan's the best working director today. I think it's close. I think it's very close. How I compare it in my head is sort of, if they just both made a random movie, which one would I rather see right now? And I think I would say Nolan still. His most recent stuff has not been like his top tier stuff, but I think he still has that potential to, pull out another just like, what the heck is this movie? It's amazing. And I don't know if I can say that about Denis. Like, yes, his movies are great, but the whole mind-bending stuff is super, super fun for me. And I mean, also just in general, there's so many good directors working today. I don't even know if those two are the best. Those are probably just two of my favorites. But I mean, come on, you can't really argue who's the best working director today without bringing up like 20 different names, because there are that many good directors working right now. I won't bore you guys and go through my list, but I would say those are my two personal favorites, but they're still probably not the best directors working today.
You kind of had a similar take to this on me. My thing is, I don't know if Nolan pulls off Dune quite in the same way. It's not the same movie. Obviously, you haven't seen it yet. Obviously, the caveat here is that we did say working. So it's not, all time who's the best director. It's who is currently at the height of their powers. And I think it might be Denis. Obviously, we have some classic directors that are still working, like David Fincher, Quentin Tarantino, Steven Spielberg, Martin Scorsese, Spike Lee, the Coen brothers, even Christopher Nolan.
Yeah.
But my thing is, do you think any of those directors have their best movie is yet to come out, or do you think they've probably all come out with their best at this point?
Yeah, that is a good point. They probably have all peaked out of that list you're just saying. Even Nolan. I'd say Nolan's definitely peaked.
But I think Denis has the potential to still make a movie that is better than anything he has right now.
Yeah. I bet you named off the classic directors. You could name the up and coming ones too.
Well, yeah. So that's my thing. I think if you obviously said you'd be more excited about a new Christopher Nolan movie, I would probably be pretty even. The rest of those directors, I would probably take Denis over. But there are some people currently working that I'm more excited to see their future projects. People like Bong Joon-ho, I'd rather see his next movie. Jordan Peele, I'm very excited to see Nope. And even Greta Gerwig, like those three people that have been nominated for Best Director in the last 6 years. I think I personally am more excited to see their next project than Denis. They're different kind of directors, but it definitely maybe puts a little bit of the spell of, is he the best working director? I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, those are three great names. You can name 10 more, like I said. 100%. There's so much potential, I think, right now from the directorial standpoint in Hollywood, which is super exciting because I think this decade of movies might be up there with some of the best of them, which we're going to talk about later. But the directorial talent these days, it's really off the charts. I am jacked for just like the future of movies. So definitely back.
All right, next one. Talking about someone I just mentioned, Tarantino's overrated, coming again from Luke Manning. This is a spicy take.
This is hot.
That's hot.
Drop it like it's hot. Off the bat, I'd say no fucking chance. Yes, Tarantino has peaked 100%. He's probably done making movies after his next.
Allegedly, only one left. Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, his filmography out here, it's pretty tough to compare to if you're saying other directors. I mean, he peaked in the 90s, obviously, a couple absolute classics. Also, I mean, he's done well since then. Django's pretty good, feature in the modern day. But,
Glorious Bastards is my favorite.
Yeah, you like that one, obviously. I mean, Reservoir Dogs and,
and Pulp Fiction.
Yeah, those are his best movies, I would say. And, I mean, he's not rated. Have you seen Pulp Fiction? I don't know if these people have seen Pulp Fiction, but it's a hell of a movie, hell of performances. Tarantino, he can be a little controversial maybe nowadays, but I think his films stand alone from his opinions on some stuff, and I think he is an all-time director in my book. So I'd say probably not.
Yeah, something that you guys talked about on that hot take episode is a little bit of like the red flag movie type thing, and like I think Tarantino can kind of fall into that.
Yeah.
And especially it's like within the sphere of the world that you live in. And when somebody like Luke and I are both film students, like, I don't know, there's such a stereotype of like the film bro with the Pulp Fiction t-shirt and like, or the Pulp Fiction poster. And I get it, but at the same time, like, I feel like it's such a meme that it like evens out and it takes away from the badness or like the ugliness of the like film bro who's too obsessed with Quentin Tarantino. Where like, you can recognize that it's still a good movie. And yeah, he makes like movies that are probably 75% stolen from other films, but they have incredible actors at their core with really unique and like dialogue that doesn't come from anyone else. Crazy, in-depth storylines. And also at the same time, maybe says the N-word too much and focuses on feet a little bit too much. But like, we can recognize these things and like, point them out and still appreciate the movie. Personally, I think Inglourious Basterds is a masterpiece, and obviously Pulp Fiction is one of the most like iconic movies of all time, especially 90s movie culture. Yeah, I don't know. I don't think he's overrated. I think it's really about the sphere and the discourse that you surround yourself with. And if you can surround yourself with like people that can recognize like the good and the bad of Tarantino, then I don't think it's overrated.
Yeah, I think you're right on the money there, honestly. And also just like the bloody shoot 'em up style as well, so unique. Excuse me. And yeah, his perspective on a lot of things is weird at times. Obviously, he does have a foot fetish, which I'm not a big fan of, but I respect it.
Sticks to his guns. Yeah. I mean,
I mean, it's not a Tarantino movie without feet, but yeah, I don't think he's overrated by any means.
Yeah. Now let's move on to another director, one that we have not mentioned yet, that I've talked about. I'm not a huge fan of on the podcast, but here's the take again from Luke. Wes Anderson at his best is brilliant. Wes Anderson at his worst is insufferable. Kody, what's your take on Wes Anderson? You a big Wes Anderson fan?
I would call myself a big Wes Anderson fan. I think you, like you said, have been hating on him on the pod a little bit, which I haven't defended him much, to be fair. But I just think Wes Anderson's human. He's not a perfect director out here. He can make some stinkers in his time, and he's also made some pretty good movies in his time too. His whole visual style, I am a fan of. He puts a lot of work into every shot of his movie, which I think is pretty admirable. Sometimes his premises and his stories are not the most interesting, I don't think. But as a just visual director, he's sort of like the Zack Snyder of indie directors, if that's a good comparison. He cares a lot more about what you're seeing on the screen than maybe what's going on at times, which is not a bad thing. But yeah, I think Wes, he brings a lot of interesting concepts to the screen that is, like Tarantino, very unique from a lot of other directors. And that's what stands out to me. Yeah, he's made some bad movies. He's made some good movies. But, I mean, these days, who really hasn't done that? So, yeah, I don't know. I think this is a good take, honestly, because, like, if you really dive into his movies, there probably are pretty, like, few insufferable ones. But, I mean, Grand Budapest Hotel, that's one of my favorites from him. Like, that's a pretty dang good movie. So, I mean, it goes on the other side of the coin. I don't know what to think about this one, honestly. But I do want to hear your take on Wes.
I think Budapest Hotel is the perfect culmination of his style working, and it's what he means. At his best, he's brilliant. It's the combination of everything he's worked towards: the colors, the symmetry, the perfect composition, the production design, the strange story, the use of different aspect ratios. It's like everything that he's been building towards in his career, like at its peak, is Grand Budapest. And then you have stuff like Fantastic Mr. Fox, which is really like fun and special in its own unique way. But I would agree, like at his worst, he's insufferable. I think French Dispatch is a lot of him, just really like taking everything from Budapest and expanding upon it to a point where it is insufferable. And I did not love it. It's a lot of, basically I described it as Wes Anderson just jerking himself off for an hour. And that's kind of what it is. Like, it's a really unique story. And I don't think literally any other director could make something like that, but I don't know if that's necessarily a good thing. Just because it's unique doesn't make it the best.
Yeah.
But some people really love and appreciate that, so good for them.
Yeah, the style is always going to be interesting, but yeah. I remember you describing the French Dispatch as that, so that's why I was excited for your take there. But I just wanted to hear the jerking himself off line again.
I will admit that I also have not spent a lot of time with his movies, and I do intend to get into some of his earlier films a little bit more. That's something that I want to check out in the coming weeks. Okay. Coming on to hot take number 7, again from Luke. 2014's Godzilla, this is the Bryan Cranston Godzilla, was the best MonsterVerse film. So MonsterVerse includes Kong Skull Island,
the Tom Cruise one, right?
Godzilla, King of Monsters. I don't think that's in it. The Mummy movie, that's a different MonsterVerse.
Yeah.
And then also, of course, Godzilla versus Kong.
Yes. You probably won't agree with this because I believe you like the first King Kong movie pretty well. I don't disagree. I mean, I don't agree with this either. I think this is an interesting take, though, because that first Godzilla movie is one of the more controversial, I think, of a lot of recent movies, there was a lot of haters and there's a lot of people who really, really liked it. I'm probably somewhere in the middle. I thought they wasted Bryan Cranston by just killing him off randomly. That's why I was kind of super excited to see that movie, because it's Bryan Cranston versus Godzilla. But then also, like, you don't really see Godzilla until the very end. They hide him the entire movie.
55 fucking minutes into the movie is the first time you see Godzilla.
Yeah. I mean, it's an interesting thing. They're doing it like Jaws. Like, it is kind of scarier when you don't see him. However, when all the trailers have, multiple shots of him the entire time, I don't really like that. If you hide him the entire movie, if they did the trailers where it was like they have him, well, I think in the trailer it was like, oh, they're skydiving down and you can just see this massive thing. If that was the only thing they showed, like, that's fine maybe. But they literally showed Godzilla in all the promotional material, so I don't really like that. And then, I mean, out of the other movies, which ones do I like the best? I don't know. They're all right. I'd probably say Godzilla 2, King of Monsters, just because that's a straight up just street fight with as many monsters as you can in one movie. And I like Mothra, the visuals on that too. I think it's very cool. But yeah, I probably don't back this. Although Bryan Cranston versus Godzilla is a fun concept.
Elizabeth
And
Olsen and
Taylor
Aaron
Johnson.
Taylor in a relationship.
Yeah, that's
That of
very
being
cool.
brother and sister.
Yeah. But yeah, I'd say this is a hot take, and I do respect it, honestly, because the style of that movie and the way they set up Godzilla is interesting, but the execution for me with everything in context is not my favorite.
Yeah. Again, 55 minutes. I kind of agree with everything you said. The traditional like Godzilla formula for like the old movies was they would show Godzilla in the beginning, and then like he would show up about halfway through again, and then he would be, play a pretty big role in the second half. Whereas in this one, there's like kind of a brief thing at the start in the opening credits, and then you don't see him for 55 minutes, which is about halfway through the movie. And then he's there for most of the movie. So in total screen time, it's pretty similar to like all the classic Godzilla films. But I don't know. I don't love the Jaws thing. I don't think it's not Jaws is the thing. Like, it just doesn't pull it off to the same extent that like Jaws can. I do like Kong Skull Island a lot, and even King of Monsters I think is better. So this is probably, actually, I think Godzilla versus Kong is also better than this movie. So this might be 4 for me in the MonsterVerse. So I'm not a huge fan of it.
Yeah, like I said, it's one of the more controversial, I think, just opinions on movies. I feel like we could talk to 10 different people and it'd be split down the middle 50-50 on who like that movie. So that's a tough one.
All right, so moving on to our next hot take from Luke Manning. Once again, he says Steve Carell is a better dramatic actor than he is a comedic actor. Kody, what's your take on this?
Whoo, we got a spicy one. No, I think Steve Carell's good both ways. He plays for both teams, basically. But Office reference. But I think, comedy is where he's better suited, in my opinion. Just because I am an avid, Office lover. And, I mean, most of the movies he's done as well have been comedically based. Obviously, recently he's gotten into a lot more dramatic acting, and he's a very good dramatic actor as well. I think the standout is Foxcatcher. I mean, for him to play that sort of role, also Channing Tatum in the movie is also very good. But just in general, for a serious movie with those kind of actors, I think it's an outstanding performance. He's done a lot of other stuff as well. I really like him in Vice. Obviously, the iconic 40-Year-Old Virgin, he's very good in as well. So, I mean, his movie cred is up there, but I would say he's probably better comedically just based off of Michael Scott, like, singularly. Everything else after Michael Scott is just something else Steve Carell can do, but that is who, like, he is defined by me. So I'd say, decent take, but I'll probably say no.
Yeah, I think it's pretty even for the most part. You mentioned Vice, and even his character in The Big Short. I think why those characters are so successful, while they are dramatic roles, there's a level of comedy. Like, you're supposed to be laughing at the character of Donald Rumsfeld in Vice, and you're supposed to be kind of laughing with the character he has. And there's certain comedic timing is also very similar to like dramatic timing. And I think if you can have good comedic timing, then being able to be dramatic as an actor is also very successful. Specifically for this hot take, I went and watched a movie called Beautiful Boy, which is like maybe his most dramatic role, where he's playing this father of a drug addict played by Timothy Chalamet. Definitely a very tough movie to watch, but I will say there's points when he like yells and gets really like angry and expressive, and it's just Michael Scott yelling. Like it's all I can think. There's a point where he's yelling, and all I can think is no, like the Michael Scott like yelling no, like, and because it's that nasally quality to his voice when it like goes up, and it's really hard to separate him from that character, unfortunately. But it's also not a bad thing because Michael Scott is amazing character, one of the best in TV. He's hilarious. Also, like you said, 40-Year-Old Virgin is, I think, one of the better comedy movies of all time. So he can definitely do dramatic well. And I think when he can pair the two together, I think is when he's at his best. I know. Yeah, that's my take.
I agree. The Beautiful Boy is on my list as well. That's one I've been meaning to watch for a while.
Definitely recommend it. Very, very powerful stuff. But
yeah, and I left out one of my favorite movies, The Big Short. So good in that as well. But maybe if you haven't seen The Office and you just watch those movies first and then you watch The Office, then maybe you'll think he's a dramatic actor. But because like us, obviously it's the reverse way around. I don't know. That's an interesting argument, I think. But I mean, yeah, for me, he's just always going to be Michael Scott.
Yeah. Let's move on to the next hot take. In-game is widely overrated in mid-tier Marvel. Once again, coming from Luke.
I'll tell you what, Luke, you got some interesting takes. I low-key back this one. I feel like maybe me and Luke might just share this opinion on our own because Endgame is very beloved, obviously. But, I mean, most of the movie is sort of nostalgia bait, which is fine. I love nostalgia bait. But if you take the movie as a whole and compare it to the top 10 other movies that the MCU has produced, I don't think it makes a list. I think this is a 11 through 15 MCU movie. I can name off 10 if you want me to, but I don't even think it's really close at times. Out of the Avengers movies even, I'd say this is probably like the third best. But it is a great culmination. It's a great ending. The last fight is, a lot of fun. But, I mean, story-wise, other than just it being a good ending, I don't think it really adds much. It doesn't have a good villain. The heroes are uninteresting at times and very interesting at others. It's sort of a balancing act, and then you have the core 6 at the end. Somehow they all don't get snapped away, which I thought was stupid as well, but it's a good ending for them. And the whole 5-year time jump I did like a lot. Very surprised me there. But other than Captain America holding Mjolnir, Avengers Assemble, like there's key milestone moments that will always be remembered. But in the grand scheme of things, I think this is a mid-tier Marvel movie. So I back it, Luke. You brought a good one. I respect it. Korbin Roastman.
Obviously, Infinity War is better, but I still think this is a top 10 Marvel movie. Maybe even I'm thinking like 6 or 7 is probably where I have it. But I don't appreciate like the Captain America movies as much as you do. I know. I just don't love those movies as much. Like you said, the Avengers Assemble, Cap holding Mjolnir, like some of the like all-time favorite theater moments in this film that I don't know if it can ever be beat. Just that euphoria of being in there in the theater. Maybe it doesn't stand alone great, but it's literally not supposed to. It's a culmination of 10 years, and you have to appreciate that every time you watch it. So story, yeah, maybe it's not the best, but I think it still can get in the top 10 just because of what it is. And it listen, it was an ending, and it was a successful ending to a lot of stories. And I think they did something that I was worried they weren't going to be able to pull off, and they really did pull it off. So I think it's deserving the top 10 spot.
Yeah, for what it is, it's good. But in the grand scheme, I don't know. It's probably close. It's a good movie. I'm not saying it's bad.
Second to last take here, not too spicy, but I figured I'd throw it in as well. Again, coming from Luke. He says the books was better or the movie was better is a stupid thing to say. It just doesn't work. I'll start here. I agree with this. Some things just really aren't meant to like exist in a specific medium, or some things just like things are going to be different. I definitely grew up probably saying this too. I enjoyed reading, books, Harry Potter, Percy Jackson. But at the end of the day, like, I don't know, it doesn't really matter much. Yeah, the book's probably always going to be better because it's the first thing you read and it's the source text. And movies are probably just being made around a book most of the time for a cash grab or to, appeal to some wider IP. And then they'll make movies about, smaller books that are widely celebrated that aren't necessarily a cash grab, but then they're just better as books. So like, it's hard to capture that energy on screen. I don't know. There's some great movies based on books. Jurassic Park, you ever heard of it? That's probably better than fucking whatever Michael Crichton wrote.
Never heard of it. But yeah, this is another tough one, I think. But I don't know if I necessarily agree. I think, other than a few exceptions, the books are always better. And that's
But
just
why does it
because-
matter? I don't know.
It doesn't. But if we're arguing for arguing's sake, I mean, you just have more material in the books to go off of. So, I mean, the longer you spend with characters, likely the better, they're going to be fleshed out, more emotional moments, blah, blah, blah.
I mean, that's the thing. If you made a movie that was exactly like the book, it would be a bad movie.
Yeah, 100%. It's just different media, and I think it's hard to compare. But, I mean, in theory, the book should always be better because you have more time to do things with the characters. Movie, you're limited to 2 hours. I mean, it's hard to, flesh out a character completely in that amount of time. But, yeah, it is stupid. I mean, either way, if you say those phrases a bunch in your life, like, come on, you're better than that. But, the books are usually better. So, fair enough.
All right, last take, and we won't spend too much time on this one because it's already been well discussed in the pod. The Last Jedi is a top tier Star Wars film. Again, coming from Luke, this is where Luke and I intersect. I agree 100%.
Oh, man.
I actually want, for our next question, I rewatched A New Hope last night. But
nice.
Listen, Last Jedi, just listen to our pod if you really want to know the answer to this. That's my question. Or that's my reply.
Yeah, that's definitely true. You'll definitely learn a lot of our opinions on the movie for that one. But yeah, no fucking chance, basically. No fucking chance. That's all I'll say.
All right. So those are our hot takes. A lot of love to Luke and then Jake for throwing one in there.
Hey, big shout outs to my man Luke. Come on, we gotta get this guy out immediately. He's balling out for this episode. Unbelievable.
I got an idea of something we can do with him, so it'll be fun. Moving on to our questions. First one comes from one of my friends from high school, Gavin Bullock. He says, "What are your thoughts on A New Hope?" Kody, take it away. What are your thoughts? Is it actually that good? Is it too slow? Is it overrated, underrated? Tell me. Star Wars, the original, episode 4.
Yeah, it's not called A New Hope. It's called Star Wars. And yeah, it's a top tier Star Wars movie. It's, in my book, the second best Star Wars movie.
I agree.
Probably these days a little underrated just because it came out. I mean, 1977 or something? Long time ago. And I mean, yeah, it set the stage for Empire, which is just an all-time classic. It has a lot of fun moments. I mean, the Death Star and Luke stuff. Ben Kenobi, so good. Really the only original appearance from him in the trilogy. And he's just so iconic. I think he really adds a lot to the entire trilogy, even though he's only in it for one movie, which I think is hard to do. And I mean, just the introduction of all these iconic characters. You got the whiny Luke growing up before your eyes. You got Harrison Ford as Han Solo, so iconic. Princess Leia. I mean, even the droids are so fun. You can go on Chewbacca. You go on and on and on and on with this movie. So much good stuff from George Lucas, and just the world building as well. This was not, I don't think, meant to be a massive franchise. It was just George Lucas taking a chance, a lot of practical effects, and just some fun, sci-fi, good versus evil, classic stuff. And obviously, it didn't even bring up Darth Vader, the most iconic villain of all time. So, I mean, I'm literally forgetting some of the biggest parts of this movie just because there's so much to talk about. And yeah, New Hope. I mean, what can you say, man? Good movie.
Yeah, I would say it's probably one of the honestly, I thought looking back, my assumption was that this is going to be too slow, but it's actually a pretty well-paced movie, and everything that happens leads to the next thing, and it's constantly moving forward and propelling the story. Like you mentioned, there's so much iconic stuff here: the visual effects, the practical effects, the sweeping landscapes, characters like Han Solo, Darth Vader, Luke Skywalker, Leia. Everything is just easily recognizable. Lightsabers, what amazing, fantastic. The Death Star, the music in the opening crawl.
Yeah, I forgot about the music. The music, unbelievable, dude.
Absolutely.
So go ahead. Keep going.
What I will say, the lightsaber fighting is weak.
Yeah,
especially compared to what we see later. And the ending is a little rushed for me. It jumps to it, but it's very clear cut. It's uncomplicated. Here's what they need to do. They do it. Boom. Death Star. Wow, we won. Congrats. Obviously, those things get more complicated moving forward, but it seems very it wraps up really nicely in the end. It has a clear, this is the end. You know, we've mentioned in the pod a couple times, movies love to have 6-7 endings. This movie just ends, and we're okay with that. Some stuff, you know, George Lucas loved to meddle with these movies after they came out. There's some changes. If you watch it on Disney Plus now, there's a lot of shitty CGI stuff that's been added that I don't love, especially on Tatooine. Just weird stuff in the back room that I don't think adds a ton and really just detracts. So listen, George Lucas's meddling, as always, has kind of ruined these movies a little bit, but he made a fucking samurai movie Western in space on the grandest scale that you possibly could. And it's extremely expansive. It's a crazy world, and it wouldn't get made today. You know, like somebody says, give me, I don't know how much money the first New Hope cost, but like, give me this much money to make this original story with these huge sets, crazy practical effects. Like, I don't know. It's a lot. He built a world, and it's really impressive. So I appreciate it.
Yeah, I agree. I feel like it might be made today if you have the right director and the right, you know, actors and ideas behind it. But I mean, basically what he did as well was just cast no names, which is hard to do these days as well. So you might be right. I think if it was made today, it'd be much, much different. You gotta have star power in there. So yeah, I mean, he made it at the right time, I guess. George Lucas was born in the right era to create one of the best franchises of all time. So fair enough.
All right, next take coming from a fellow coworker of mine at the Co-Rec, Asif Anwar. What's a film conspiracy theory you believe in despite a lack of evidence? Now, I have one that personally I think has a lot of evidence that we've talked about, but I'll let you go first, Kody. What's a film conspiracy theory you believe in?
I'm interested to hear yours, but I actually found one that I really, really like, and it does have a little bit of evidence as well. So we're going to throw it to the animated scene here and talk about Aladdin. Classic movie. But I think the conspiracy theory is it's set in a post-apocalyptic Mad Max sort of scene.
I've seen this. And,
okay. This is because the genie makes so many references to people in like the 90s and, you know, the late 80s, blah, 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 whatever. But I mean, he's talking about Arnold Schwarzenegger, Jack Nicholson, basically anybody from the 90s who's famous, he does an impression of.
So is this like Y2K happens and then we get the...
How does he know who these people are? Well, he's been in a bottle for, I don't know, you know, whatever it was, 8,000, 7,000 years. So maybe it's 8,000 or 7,000 years after the 90s. That's when he got put in the bottle. And this is where we're at in the world now. I think that's just super fun. And, you know, Aladdin, a Mad Max, Fury Road-esque sort of scene maybe 5 years ago. I think it's really fun to imagine as well. But, I mean, that kind of makes sense. How would he know who those people are if he wasn't, you know, around that era for those people? I don't know.
There's also something, there's like a piece of, I don't remember specifically with this theory, but there's like stuff that shows up that's like modern stuff that's like in the sand and stuff that shouldn't be there. Yeah. Obviously, I want to bring up the classic and I'm going to debunk it. Everyone, you know, the classic film conspiracy theory is that Stanley Kubrick faked the moon landing. Yeah. And then The Shining is one giant confession to that fact. People are always like, well, he made 2001 A Space Odyssey, so they were like, oh, you could fake the moon landing. But if you watch 2001 A Space Odyssey, it looks nothing like the moon landing. Like, they're not the same. Like, yeah, he made something that looks like real and scientific and like in space, but it doesn't look like what the moon landing looks like. The moon landing looks like shit.
Yeah, that is kind of true. I don't know.
I don't think this is real. The moon landing's real. That's my take. This is a bad theory. I just wanted to bring it up.
I think that's true as well. But I mean, when did the moon landing happen? Right, 69.
1969.
When was 2001 released? Like 1960?
68.
Okay. Well, yeah. All right, I backed that then. I thought 2001 was made earlier, but yeah, the moon landing does look like shit. So.
And then he makes The Shining in 2000 or in 1980. There's a bunch of stuff. You know, there's a moon lander in it. There's the room number. Everything is like, oh, it's pointing to him. He faked it. I don't know. It's just a coincidence, maybe. Or maybe he did. Maybe he was involved. He's trying to tell us something.
Yeah, I don't know, honestly. I feel like the moon landing is real, but that is kind of strange. If anybody they were going to hire to do it, it'd probably be Kubrick. So I don't know. I feel like one day we might actually learn the answer on that, but not anytime soon.
My real take, which is a take you're familiar with, Snowpiercer Bong Joon-ho's 2014 film is a sequel to Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory.
I hate this one. I don't like this one at all.
Listen, it's not real because like it just doesn't make sense that Bong Joon-ho would just make a sequel about people on a train. But there's like weirdly a lot of like connections, and I don't want to there's YouTube video essays you can check out, but hell, it's Wilford's. There's a big W, and it's Wonka, like all the stuff. Weird food contraptions, the layers to the train. Like there's a lot of it that seems like it really backs up this theory that Willy Wonka, he loved trains. And
yeah, but Ed Harris is Charlie in that scenario.
Yeah,
right?
right. Yeah.
That I don't buy. But the Wilford stuff is kind of weird. I mean, when you look at it, it's like, okay, stuff kind of adds up, but it's just so far-fetched for me where I'm like, this is fucking stupid.
Fair enough. We'll move on to next question coming from one of my Big Ten coworkers, Cass Clark. What makes a TV series good?
I like this question. You know, make it a little bit more broad, a little more general. I think a lot of things can make a TV series good. First off, you know, I'm a big cast guy. You get a good cast, a lot of strong characters, a lot of good actors. I think that's a good start. Obviously, you need some sort of plot. You know, that is normally what happens in a TV show, so you need some of that. And just sort of the idea of an overarching story where it keeps you guessing, it keeps you intrigued. I think if you have something where, you know, you keep some characters in the dark on some stuff, there's some big reveals, it's more fun. It's more drama. You had some drama, you had some lighthearted fun in there as well. I think that's a good combo. But I mean, there's a lot of different answers to this. My general thing is you should always keep the audience engaged at all times. I think even if you have like one or two episodes where you're not sure what to do, like cut it to the fuller. Like every episode should be an integral part to it. And also as well, you should just know where you're going with it the entire time. Have little fun setups where maybe if you do a reveal, make it so where if you go back and watch the previous episodes, there's little clues to it. I think that's super fun as well. But I mean, there's a lot of different ways to make good TV. Obviously, it depends on like the genre you're going for, but in general, I'd say those are my bullet points. You know.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not a huge TV guy, but I would say I agree with most of what you said. You know, staying fresh is really important. Creating characters that are capable of changing, but keeping, you know, the show going. Because that's really the hard thing about TV is like you can't have stagnant characters that never grow, but you also need to like be able to keep up the same energy and character interaction and keep it same. I think things that like kind of reinvent the format of TV are always great. Even The Office kind of spurned its own like reinvention of situational comedies. The Sopranos, obviously, I mean, a ton of HBO stuff, Game of Thrones, Sopranos, you know, The West Wing, even, and then even stuff like Breaking Bad, like this, like really high quality, high production value TV with like really strong writing is what's kind of overtaken what TV is now. Longer form, a darker concept. It's a very HBO type thing. Obviously, Breaking Bad, not an HBO show, but that kind of like HBO TV sensibility is kind of what become, you know, mainstream TV. Even like Euphoria now is the biggest thing, and it's kind of reinventing what television is. So that's my take.
One more thing I want to add: they need to know when to end the show as well. I think
absolutely.
A bad thing about TV is you can just keep doing it for as long as you want. I think a good example of it is The Good Place. They could have done that show for a very, very long time, but they said, you know, I think this is a good time to end, you know, this sort of view on the characters. And that's hard to do because you could probably make like 4 or 5 more seasons of that show and make more money. But it's always tough. I mean, The Office is a good example as well. It's hard to know when to end a great show. And to have the balls to pull the plug when you're going out high is tough. But sometimes it's the right thing to do.
Yeah, I mean, to your point, it comes down to money a lot of the time. And when you're like the best, like if you're having great ratings, you're not going to want to end the show. But then when you start getting bad ratings is the time to end, but you're going to have a bad ending, right? There's so many shows that we could talk about that have had bad endings. We kind of mentioned it on our Growing the Beard to Jumping the Shark episode, but knowing when to pull the plug, you're 100% right. That like to have like a complete TV series that is strong and good is really rare. Like even some of my favorite stuff, like you said, The Office, New Girl, Scrubs, Parks and Rec, even like their final season, like all these shows that I really love and enjoy. Arrested Development have had like bad. How I Met Your Mother, terrible endings, bad finishes. They went on for too long.
Yeah.
A lot of those shows did a weird like time jump thing, which is a weird phenomenon, which I don't like. Parks and Rec,
The obvious one. Yeah.
Yeah, weird stuff. Next question, which I think might be a disappointment if the person who asked it is actually listening. The question comes from Nick Armstrong, another one of my high school classmates. He says, "What's your explanation of Donnie Darko?" Kody, you've never seen this movie, have you?
I think I saw it like 10 years ago.
Okay.
I remember Jake Gyllenhaal's terrible. That's basically my gist of the movie, though. So you're gonna have to, carry on this question. I don't have much to say.
I'll share a fun anecdote to start. When I was in high school, there was a girl that was older than me that I was really interested in. And her favorite movie was Donnie Darko. She loved Donnie Darko. Kind of fit who she was a little bit. Great person. I have nothing bad to say about her. But yeah, she was really into Donnie Darko. So I was like, yeah, let me watch Donnie Darko and like this movie because she likes it. And then I watched it and I was like, I don't really like this that much. I don't get it at all. And then I you try and watch a YouTube essay or whatever, trying to understand the meaning, and you just don't. I don't fucking know what happens to this movie. I think it's one that I want to do on the pod at some point. So a little bit of teaser. Donnie Darko was on my list at one point to make Kody watch it. Basically, there's a parallel universe that gets created. Then the Donnie Darko character, he's like living in the parallel universe, and there's like this weird bunny, and it's like a symbol of some shit. I don't know. And then at the end, a plane explodes, and then that like reconnects the universes because it collapsed in on it. Like that's basically the whole thing. Yeah, someone else could probably explain it better.
Interesting. That's all new information to me. So,
do you remember how the movie ends? There's like a plane above his house and it like explodes above his house.
I think I was like, I don't know how long it was, 10 years ago. Yeah, I was like 12 or 13 or something. I don't even know why I was watching the movie.
I would have watched it freshman year of high school. Is I think the last time I watched it. So it's been like 8 years.
Yeah, I was probably in like middle school. So,
all right. Next question comes from our last guest. Yeah, sorry we couldn't do better on that. Our next question comes from our last guest, Mina Naki. She says, "What decade has the best movies?" Kody, what do you think?
This is a very good question, and there's a lot of very good answers. I think the 70s have a very, very strong case. However, as I was talking about earlier, I think the 90s is my choice. There's two specific years of movies that as well are just like two of the best movie years of all time, I think.
Wait. 95 is definitely one of them. And let me see. You're gonna say 98?
No.
Is 95 not one of them?
No, I don't think so.
Okay. Well,
I was gonna say 94 and 99.
I think that's what I meant. Yeah.
Yeah, 1994. Obviously, you have the big three: Pulp Fiction, Shawshank Redemption, Forrest Gump. I mean, that's for
right. Yeah. 95 Oscars, 1994 movies. Yeah.
Oh yeah, sure, my bad. But yeah, I mean, those big three is like all in the same year, kind of crazy. Also 99. Oh man, you have so much good stuff. If you have time, just go look at the IMDb for 1999. It's pretty crazy how many good movies came out that year. One of my favorites, obviously, The Matrix. I mean, just
Fight Club.
Yes, Fight Club. Another. You could just keep going on the list here. I won't bore you guys.
The Phantom Menace.
No. But I think the 90s in general was such a great time for movie making, just because you could literally make anything you wanted. Absolutely anything. I think the perfect example of that is Point Break. What the hell is Point Break, dude? It's Patrick Swayze. They're robbing, they're surfing. I don't know. It's fucking amazing. Catherine Bigelow. I mean, I could literally talk about every movie in the 90s. I won't bore you guys. 70s probably is the better decade for like just serious cinema. But I think the 90s has serious cinema and also that fun factor of such good movies that don't have to be serious. And that's why I think it trumps it for me. Obviously, that's just like my take. I'm not a big we have to watch only serious cinema. So that's why I'm throwing it to probably one of the more fun decades of all time, the 90s.
I was going to say that technically it's probably the 90s as well.
Yeah.
I think personally, 2010s is probably my favorite era, which is kind of a cop out because obviously that's like the formative years of like we're biased. But I really think like 2014 to 2019 are like really good movie years, specifically 2016 with like Moonlight and everything that came out, Moonlight and La La Land. 2017, obviously Lady Bird, Get Out, two huge movies. And then 19, I think, was a crazy good movie year right before the death of movies with stuff like Parasite, 1917, Ford versus Ferrari, Joker. 2019 might be one of my favorite movie years, period. 2000s, 2007 is really good. You get the Coen brothers and Paul Thomas Anderson fighting it out, duking it out at the top with There Will Be Blood and No Country for Old Men. But I think the 90s are the right answer. Like you said, 99 and 94. If you take the IMDb top 40 movies of all time, 16 of the top 40 come from the 90s, which is pretty impressive, like all movies all time. And then you've got like 41 of the top 250. I really think 94 maybe is just the greatest movie year of all time, period. Beyond like, 2019 is great, 99 is great, but I think 94 is just top to bottom really solid. So
I back that.
Now we're going to move into our next question, which is kind of a three-parter. We had 3 different people ask similar questions. We'll tackle them one at a time, but they might bleed into each other a little bit. So first one comes from another former guest, Liam Durbin. He says, are theaters dead? And do you think good movies will ever make deserved box office money again? Are theaters dead, Kody?
I would say theaters are not dead. However, I think Liam does bring up an interesting point. I don't know if good movies will make deserved box office as they did in the past. Obviously, theaters, they were reeling for a couple reasons. One of them, probably the biggest one, being the pandemic, but they were reeling before that anyways. And I think they found their niche of what makes good money, and that's, high-profile comic book movies, which I'm a big fan of, so I'm not complaining. However, they had to survive to adapt, or whatever. They had to adapt to survive. Right when I was making a good speech, I can't fucking talk. But yeah, they had to adapt to survive, and I think they'll continue doing that. I mean, you do have the outlier examples of Dune. I mean, that made a shit ton of money, and it's nothing in like a franchise or anything like that. So I think good movies can still make great money. However, I mean, with the comic book revitalization and what Spider-Man No Way Home did recently, I don't like the trend that it's going. And I don't know if theaters ever will die, but I mean, at this point, it's not looking great, if I'm being honest. So I think Liam brings up a great point, but I still think in the long run, theaters will be fine.
Yeah, I think theaters are going to change a little bit, and that'll move more into our next question, specifically my thoughts on that. But I'll say first, if we knew the answer to this question, we wouldn't be sitting here doing this podcast. We'd probably have jobs, working for a studio, if we were the soothsayers of if what was going to be happening in the next few years. I think something that, like, especially for us, like living in Indiana, I think it's really hard to understand that, like, the pandemic has still had like a really large effect on like people going back to movies. Yeah, it's easy for us. Theaters are pretty much fully open here. People don't even have to wear masks. But first of all, a former chunk of people that went to the movies was like older people. And those people are not going back to the movies because they're just, scared for their health, which makes sense. Also, like cities like New York and LA are like not really like theater. A lot of theaters have not really fully opened. There's still theaters that are closed across the country. There's limited capacities. There's just a lot of things that are having effect. Like people just aren't able to go back to movies yet, like fully, especially internationally. Is that a good or bad thing? Here's the thing. When people say, will good movies make deserved box office money? I don't think that's necessarily fair. Like, I think Spider-Man No Way Home is a good movie. I don't think it's a bad movie. If we want to talk about like the great movies, the Oscar movies, that's an interesting conversation to have, because what we're seeing is a lot of these movies premiering on streamers, which I think, listen, capitalism bad, pulling a bunch of money to, 6 different streamers just so you can see movies I don't love, but it's easily accessible to wide masses, which I think is a good thing. When your movie was probably not going to make a ton of money at the box office, but having it on streamers where anybody can see it, I think is a good thing. If a movie's on Netflix, I think that's more net positive than negative at the end of the day. Some interesting facts. The of the 2019 Oscars, which is movies released in 2018, one of those 8 Best Picture nominees premiered on a streamer. 2020 Oscars, so 2019 movies, like we were talking about, that really good. 2 of the 9 movies nominated for Best Picture premiered on a streamer. 2021 Oscars, which was obviously 2020 COVID year, 5 of 8 premiered on a streamer. And then this year, we're probably going to get 10 nominees because they've expanded where there actually needs 10 nominees. We do know who the nominees are at this point, but not as time of recording. If you take the top 20 based on like Variety's predictions for the top 20 Best Picture nominees, 10 of those premiered on a streamer. If you take their top 10, 6 of those 10 premiered on a streamer. So future Korbin cutting in now that we have released the nominees. 4 of them technically premiered on streamers with Coda, Don't Look Up, King Richard, and The Power of the Dog. 3 of those being primarily streamer-focused movies, with Netflix having The Power of the Dog and Don't Look Up, and then you have Coda from Apple TV+. I will say the Academy maybe is not as in favor of streaming movies and still considers the theatrical experience more important, but, what do I know, right? We'll go back to the show. Streamer movies are becoming more prevalent in the Oscars conversation, which I think is kind of a good thing because these movies don't need huge budgets to be good. They don't need to necessarily make a lot of money. You can have movies like, The Lost Daughter or Tick Tick Boom that are like smaller budget films that, like, at the end of the day, if people are seeing them on Netflix, that's a good thing. Now, if you take stuff like Power of the Dog or Don't Look Up, which have bigger budgets, maybe those movies don't continue to get made. We're not going to give Martin Scorsese $200 million to make a movie for Apple TV Plus in 5 years, but we're doing it right now. So this year, we're going to see a $200 million Martin Scorsese film on a streamer, and all you have to do is pay for Apple TV Plus. You don't have to. It's not going to have a box office revenue, right? I don't know. Movies like The Last Duel, those are probably dead. But they're just movies about old white people in the 1600s. Like, who cares? Do we need movies like that? Those are the movies that are, basically it's that middle-aged audience, like that 35 to 45, like movie directed audience, which is like stuff like The Last Duel. Like stuff like that's not going to get made because it's a $200 million movie that no one cares about. So I don't think that's a bad thing either.
Yeah, I think just because something's a dead genre doesn't mean you should throw $1 billion into it and expect something out of it. But as well, I mean, I think you do make a good point there. Like, the pandemic still has affected a lot of different people, and I don't mind streaming services, taking over sort of the Oscar bait movies category, just because, I mean, not all Oscar movies make a ton of money. I mean, look at Shawshank, maybe one of the best movies of all time, absolutely bombed. So, I mean, even if it is a good movie and it doesn't make money, that doesn't mean it's bad. That just means it didn't get out to the right audiences. I mean, maybe The Last Duel is good. I haven't seen it. But, I mean, like you said, sometimes moviegoers aren't just going to see specific things in the big screen for a lot of different reasons, the pandemic being one of them. But I don't mind Oscar bait movies going to streaming services because it is super more accessible. I mean, I don't know about you, but most time when I go to a movie theater, it might not be for Oscar bait movies. It might be for more visual stuff or other stuff. That's just me. I mean, obviously I do go to see Oscar bait movies as well, but probably my first choice is going to be, the bigger budget movie, just because on the big screen, I feel like you're getting your money's worth more sometimes based off of just, I could watch this on Netflix at home and, I don't pay, shit for it, basically. I don't know.
Yeah, obviously there's some movies like Dune that like you want to see in a theater, but I don't think like Dune's still going to get made. So I'm not too worried about that. The thing is that what we're really going to lose out on is like the mid-tier movie, I think. Like Netflix is going to pump out some bad, shitty movies, like the He's All That's, the Love Hards, the whatever, like, because they're cheap to make. They can throw like a star at the center of them. Maybe some people will watch them. And it's like super easily digestible film. Mm-hmm. You're going to get those. You're going to get your superhero genre, which I think is its own thing. It makes a ton of money. You're going to get basically big IP stuff. And then you're going to get your great films that you don't need a lot of money to make. You don't need $100 million to make a good, a film. Like, you don't need $100 million to make Parasite. You need 20, 40, whatever. So we're still going to get the artistic type stuff on streamers for a low amount of money, whatever. But we're going to lose out on the mid-tier stuff that we've already begun to lose on. Your romantic comedies, your weird, studio comedies. just like that mediocre stuff that you saw a ton of in like the 2000s. Like we just lose out on those movies. Maybe they become TV shows. Maybe they're just not around. And I think that's what really dies in these scenarios.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like that's just sort of survival of the fittest.
I mean, yeah, it's a good thing. Like, do we
Yeah.
need the 2.5-star movies? Just you get less content probably.
Yeah.
I think it's just two ends of the scale. You have really good movies, really bad movies, the middle stuff. Something I do want to comment on: horror movies have continued to prevail. Halloween Kills, I don't think was probably a great movie. Still made 100-some million at the box office. Scream 5 is made like 120, $30 million at the box office and cost $24 million to make. Horror's easy, it's cheap, and you can make a lot of money. So
yeah, horror's on the rise. I back it.
So continuing on with this question coming from Pablo Villa, good cinematographer friend of mine. Will the MCU ever die, and will the movie theater industry die with it?
This is a great question. My hot take, I think the MCU will eventually die. Maybe it'll be in 30 years, but I think we will live to see the day where the MCU is no more. And obviously, I'm not super excited about it. They could also do the thing in the comics where they just reboot everything constantly, which I feel like they might do. But I don't think the movie industry will die with it. Like I was saying before, I mean, it just had to adapt over time. And I think if the MCU does go away, it will find something to, fill that void per se and make a lot of money. Thing is with movies, you can pretty much do anything at any time. So, I mean, it's hard to predict what franchises are going to be in the future. But I mean, when Fast and Furious came out in 2001, who would have guessed like in 10 years that would have been the biggest franchise at the box office for the entire decade or something. I don't know. It's hard to predict movies and stuff. This shit can come out of absolutely nowhere. But yeah, I think the MCU will eventually die. But I think the movie industry will be fine regardless, even if it doesn't. But yeah, that's definitely a great question, I think.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, movie ticket prices have continued to rise. Concession prices have continued to rise. I think movie theaters.
What prices?
I mean, true.
Rise? Yeah.
Right, but I think movie theaters are going to become more of like. I mean, still even now, people only go once or twice a year, but I don't think it's going to be like the ability to like go a lot. I think might die out a little bit. It'll become more specialized. But I think that could be a positive in like some features that they might bring in, I don't know, 4D movies or better experiences for people, I think the MCU has a really interesting year ahead of it. I know one of your hot takes that this was the year of DC and not the year of the MCU. Yeah. And you might be right there. I think this is a big turning point, seeing what they can do here. It will die eventually, sure. Like everything does. I don't know if it'll be in 10 years or 30 years or this year, but it will at some point. And I think movie theaters will last longer than the MCU.
What if the MCU died this year? No chance.
Like just everything was awful. I mean, listen, it's possible. I don't know. I don't think Thor: Love and Thunder is gonna be bad, and I don't think Multiverse of Madness might.
It could be bad. Yeah, I don't know.
It might not be great. It's been a tumultuous filming process, from what I understand. The production, pre-production was a little wrought with controversy, so we'll see.
I don't really trust Sam Raimi these days, honestly, but that's just me.
They got rid of Scott Derrickson. That's actually going to come up later in another question, so we'll save it for later. So then our third part to this question comes from Jason Maynard, my former coworker and current boss. Like the video game world, big video game guy Jason is. Like the video game world, we're starting to get into a generation of a ton of remakes of old games because creators seem to be running out of fresh material. Do we think the same thing will happen with the film industry? And while I have bad news, it has happened. I mean, it's always been happening. First of all, it's already happening to where we're making remakes of video game movies. We're not even just remaking movies. We're remaking video game movies. To the point of your question, Mortal Kombat came out this last year, which is a remake of a video game movie, which was based on a video game. Mario coming out this year. They've already made Mario movies. Resident Evil. How many Resident Evils have they made? Absurd. But yeah, remakes have happened. They'll continue to happen. A Star is Born. That was the third time that movie had been made. Movies are always stealing from other texts, though. Like that's kind of the thing about movies that makes them unique. Like movies can take from TV, they can take from books, they can take from comics, they can take from video games, they can steal from real life. Like that's what movies are. They're constantly like remaking and rebranding something that previously already exists. Whereas like video games aren't necessarily always based on like real life events, unless it's, you know, World War II and Call of Duty or whatever. But a lot of times it's like purely original ideas. So yeah, now video games are reaching the point where they're remaking themselves, but movies have always done this.
Yeah, my take off the bat is Hollywood's been out of ideas for a long time. So I mean, basically anything that's made today, it's got homages of some things. It could be based off some other things. Basically, any sort of movie today, I feel like it's just thrown together of, you know, a couple ideas, a couple concepts. But I mean, in general, sequels, reboots, remakes, like that's probably like 50-50 of what's being made in Hollywood. That and then, you know, comic book and some original stuff as well. But I mean, just look at a specific movie that came out this year, The Matrix, whatever it's called, Resurrections. There it is. My God, why is this being made? No motherfucking reason at all. And that's just the state that Hollywood's in right now. I mean, they will constantly be doing that. And I mean, now even that Spider-Man No Way Home came out, and I've said this before, but it's made a buttload of money. I guarantee the next 5 years, we're going to see so many nostalgia-based movies. I'm going to want to rip my goddamn ears out. Because, I mean, at this point, it's, what is it? Like, it's a top 5 box office grosser of all time. And that format is easily repeatable for a lot of franchises. And I do think we're going to see a lot of similar things, maybe even in the MCU again. So, yeah, I don't know. It's tough because with the video game genre, like you said, and you said, like, we've been bringing that into movies as well. And there really hasn't been any good video game movies. So, I mean, if we can't make good video game movies and they're rebooting video games within video games, that can't be good for the video game genre. But yeah, good question from Jason. I think the movie industry isn't as bad maybe as the video game industry of remakes and everything. There are probably a lot more original ideas in movies, but hopefully it just doesn't get to that point where we're similar exactly to the point of where video games are at. If that makes sense.
Two things. I think making a video game, especially like a really in-depth, like it's riskier. Like there's a lot. I feel like a lot more goes into, especially like your high quality video games take a lot more effort. You know, it's easy to make like maybe like a one-off scroller or something small that then can get developed upon, and like if it builds crowdfunding. But to like make a movie that you're just going to release, it has a budget preordained. Like, is it better? Let's remake the original Modern Warfare, or let's come up with some new shooter game. Like it's kind of obvious the math there makes. Are we going to eventually make GTA 6? Or are we just going to remaster GTA 5? Maybe we just remaster GTA 5 because it'll make us more money and, you know, whatever. Second thing I wanted to bring up, I don't remember what I was going to say. So
good point.
We'll move on. So what's your favorite movie and why? This comes another question from Cass. I did my top 4, my Letterboxd top 4, so we can just hit those. But what are your favorites, Kody, and why?
Yeah, my favorites. This has been stated before, but I'll go through it quickly. You know, also I could say like around 10 or 15 movies here, and nobody would say shit. It's all good. But my top 2, you got Arrival, obviously, Denis, the boy. And then The Prestige as well, which I've stated many times. But yeah, those are probably my top 2 for a bunch of reasons. Mostly, I mean, writing, direction, acting, and just the unpredictability nature of them. They both have, you know, massive twists that, you know, blew my mind a little bit. So yeah, if you like movies and, you know, living life on the edge, go check out those 2. Korbin, take it away.
My 4, I think I've mentioned it before, but Catch Me If You Can, Social Network, Lady Bird, Requiem for a Dream. I would say those top 3 can kind of be in any order, interchangeable, and then Requiem's probably at 4. Catch Me If You Can, I think is just like super rewatchable, and I love Leo. And then you get Tom Hanks too, and the iconic "2 mice fell into a bucket of cream." I can't be any better than that. Social Network is like David Fincher and Aaron Sorkin coming together, like one of the greatest screenwriters of all time and one of the greatest directors, like, and perfectly meshing everything that's great about their styles together, evening each other out. Aaron Sorkin has the ability to like be too, it's similar to like Wes Anderson, like especially some of Aaron Sorkin's recent work is like too self-indulgent, and he needs somebody to be like, hey, I'm going to direct this and change it. And David Fincher can also fall into the same thing of being too self-indulgent and too much of their own style. And like the two of them like butting heads a little bit and clashing, and like we're able to create something really amazing with The Social Network. Also, like, you know, looking back, they were kind of right. Everything about them, you know, in 2011, it's tough. Mark Zuckerberg, Lady Bird.
He got his character dead right, I think, in hindsight.
Yeah.
Even better.
Absolutely. Lady Bird, obviously, I've talked about it so many times. Also rewatchable, can connect with the characters and the themes really a lot. I think when I watched the movie was a really pivotal point in my life, and I was able to resonate a lot with what, you know, was happening in the movie. And then Requiem for a Dream, I think just like filmmaking wise is something that like I aspire to, but like not in the same way, but just like it's inspirational. And there's some movies, there's just like a few subgenre of movie that like can make me feel something that's like completely inexplicable and is unlike any other movie. Requiem is one of those. The feeling is anxiety and dread and stress, and it's not a good feeling, but it's unlike anything else I've experienced while watching a movie the last 20 minutes. And the editing is so unique, and it makes a stylistic choice that I can really appreciate. So those are my top 4.
Yeah, all good picks.
Now we're moving on to what's your favorite individual performance from an actor? This is coming back again. Luke's back with another question. What's your favorite individual performance from an actor? I have a couple that I wanted to mention, but Kody, go ahead and take it away.
Yeah, this is tough. I mean, you could throw out probably 100 different performances from here, and again, nobody would say shit. But I have 4.
If you want to hear more about our favorite actors and actresses, why don't you go back to our top 5 actors and actresses episode?
And yeah, the first 3 names I'm going to say were all a part of that episode. Funny enough.
Yeah.
But Amy Adams' Arrival, I've stated that multiple times. One of my favorites. Hugh Jackman in Prisoners. Oh man, that guy's insane. Mahershala Ali in Moonlight. So good, so goddamn good. And then probably my top 1, Heath Ledger in The Dark Knight. I mean, my God, dude, Heath Ledger. Just based off his other, you know, performances as well, it's just so head and shoulders above anything else he did, in my opinion. Obviously, he's like good in Brokeback Mountain and stuff. Like, he's good in other stuff. But I think what he did with the Joker will never be matched. I really don't. And sadly, it is his last performance as well. But, I mean, my God, that guy's amazing in that movie. He is that movie. And, yeah, that's probably my best performance of all time. Maybe a little recency bias, you know. You could pull out, like, Casablanca and, you know, a bunch of the oldies, but
no, stick to your guns. Come on. What Heath Ledger did was more impressive.
I haven't seen every classic movie, you know, but that is my favorite performance.
I'll throw a couple out. Leo in Wolf of Wall Street, I think, is the pinnacle of his. So I think that's my favorite performance of his. But really, you could pull any Leo performance, and I enjoy it a lot. Little couple double tandem performances here. I think Melanie Laurent and Brad Pitt both in Inglourious Bastards. Love those performances. Robin Williams and Matt Damon in Good Will Hunting. Really strong. Also Matt Damon in Talented Mr. Ripley is also really great. Saoirse in Lady Bird. Again, like just connection with that performance in that role. And then finally, I think what I've decided is my favorite, and you're gonna hate this, but it's Jake Gyllenhaal in Nightcrawler. I rewatched that movie in the last like month or maybe 2 months over Christmas break. So good, so crazy. I don't know what it is about that movie. I really love that performance. So Jake G in Nightcrawler.
That is a good performance, to be fair. I won't argue that, but yeah.
I also back everything you said. I think all your performances are great. Mahershala Ali is a great get for a supporting role. What's your least favorite movie and why? This one's coming in from Cass again. What's your least favorite movie and why, Kody?
This is a tough one. I don't know. I was trying to rack my brain of just an obscure pick where I was like, man, I really fucking hate that movie. But I feel like the main 2 for me that I do dislike very, very much is Star Wars: The Last Jedi and Star Trek Into Darkness. Which,
what about Chicken Little?
Chicken Little's pretty damn bad. But the thing with me is it's all about anticipation. And maybe I'm not even doing this question right, because for me, these are 2 of the most disappointing movies of all time. Just because I like the previous ones in the franchise so much. And it just drops off a cliff. So, I mean, if we're basing it off that, these are 100% it. Obviously, there's worse movies than these ones out here. But for my like personal least favorite movies, those are probably the answers because I fucking hate those movies. Yeah.
I mentioned a couple at the 2021 podcast, some movies I watched in 2021 that were pretty bad.
Yeah.
Bucket List, Love Hard, Just Friends. Don't like those movies. One a throwback one that I have not seen in a really long time. The first rated R movie I ever watched, I was way too young to be watching it. It was a movie called Splice, and my sister was watching it on the TV. And I didn't see the whole movie, but I got bits and pieces, and I saw the ending. You ever seen this movie, Kody?
I've not. I've heard some things about it though, but I've not seen it.
Where do I even begin? 2009 film. I think this may have been 2009. So I think I was 9 years old when I saw this. So my eyes were covered for some parts, I will admit. Yeah. So the end of this movie is very strange. But I don't really want to spoil that. Basically, they make this creature, this thing, this like humanoid thing, Sarah Polley and Adrian Brody do. And it starts out as female, and then like Adrian Brody ends up having sex with it. But then it kind of does a Jurassic Park thing where it switches genders, and it then has sex with the woman in the movie. And then the end of the movie is that she's pregnant with this like weird humanoid, like just a terrifying movie. It's got a weird tale. It's like a horror sci-fi movie, but not very good. That's my take. So
Yeah,
very strange. Yeah.
I mean, you described it great. I mean, honest about it. Just sounds like a maybe concept that in theory sounds all right, but when you actually put it on the big screen like that,
Maybe I would like it now, but I feel like it was a little traumatic.
Yeah, you saw it at the worst time possible, I think, in your life too. That's one of those that just like sticks with you when you're a kid and you'll never forget it. I feel like one of those that, yeah. That's tough. We're doing childhood trauma now on CAP.
All right, couple more questions to finish out. Again, from Cass, what's a scene from a movie you absolutely detest? This could go a couple different ways. I have a couple options, but Kody, take it away.
Again, I was racking my brain for this one, and there was one specific scene that really stuck out, and it is super cliche, but I don't care. We're going back to Star Wars. A lot of Star Wars talk today, and we're not even going to The Last Jedi. We're going to The Rise of Skywalker. And it is the ending scene where Rey calls herself a Skywalker. I don't know about your theater experience with this movie, but when that happened,
you're so sexist, Kody.
No. Everyone was yelling, "Don't say it! Don't say it!" The shit, I'm a Skywalker. Everyone said, "Get the fuck out of here!" Everybody just left. I was one of them. I legit just walked out. So I mean, the movie's over, but everybody in unison went straight to the exits. I mean, that's about as bad as it can get, I think, when you have a consensus like that too, where everybody's like, don't fucking say it. I know what you're gonna say. And then she fucking says it, and then we all just walk out. It's that bad. But yeah, if also a great diction here, detest. I detest that scene. That is detestable. So yeah, the Rise of Skywalker, I'll never watch it again. And even if I do, I'll probably just turn it off right before she does it, because that's might be as bad as it can get in cinema. So yeah, that's mine.
Yeah, I was trying to come up with something like that, where like it was a moment that I just didn't like the direction they went. But what I ended up having was just like detest in the sense of like kind of a visceral, like I don't like to watch this kind of feeling. It's a little bit of like that, like traumatic stuff on. So again, like the ending of Requiem, which is a movie I love a lot, but I kind of detest that scene where it's like I love the way the ending is, but also like it's bad. It's awful. Yeah. You got to be prepared for it if you're, and you won't be, is the thing. Lupita Nyong'o getting whipped in 12 Years a Slave is pretty detestable. It's, an amazing performance, but really tough to watch. And, Black trauma is something that comes up a lot on screen, and it might be a little too much in that moment, I would say. There's a movie called Trainspotting, which has Ewan McGregor in it. It's about heroin addicts. There's something that happens with a baby in that film, which is bad. Very, very sad stuff with the baby. Some stuff in Django, like the Mandingo fighting, is not great. Don't love that. I just watched Okja by Bong Joon-ho. There's some like animal cruelty stuff in that movie, which again is hard to watch. And then American History X, somebody gets curb stomped, which is also again, something I don't want to watch. So
Yeah, the curb stomp. Oh man, that one is tough as well. All those you mentioned, obviously, just not fun to watch. So you took the test in a different direction. That is absolutely true. So yeah, I 100% back all of those. Tough watches.
all right, our last question comes from Claire Brackett, friend of mine from high school. Why is Timothy Chalamet so unfathomably attractive, Cody?
Great question, Claire. My response would be he's pretty attractive in Don't Look Up. Other than that, I'd say he's about mid. Long hair Chalamet, I'm here for. But yeah, I think he's decently attractive for a human being. Could be better, could be worse. But I don't know too much about this topic, if I'm being honest. I'll throw it over to Korbin. What's your opinion on this?
I don't know for the two people that are the experts on this, but we've been called to answer the question, so we have to. I don't know. I've seen him kind of, thrown into that like ugly hot category thing where like there's something just kind of interesting about the way he looks. The Pete Davidson. It's very in right now. The skinny white boy is popping off recently. So I think there's something a little bit pretty about Timothy Chalamet. There's something a little effeminate that I think can appeal to a wider audience. I think that's probably. Listen, there's some people that don't think he's attractive. I've seen the discourse on Twitter plenty of times. So he's not for everybody, but
well, yeah, I feel like attractiveness is very, very subjective. So I mean, there's going to be people who don't think anybody's attractive at all. So it's hard to judge,
I know Claire, I could psychoanalyze a little bit why she might think he's attractive, but I don't know if I want to get into that on the podcast. So.
More therapy sessions on the pod. I'm here for it.
All right, so that's our questions. Now we do have 2 prompts for kind of some things, so we'll get into that. First one comes from Jackson Mahuron, who was just on the pod shortly ago. Pitch a unique DC Comics property to be turned into a movie, TV show, or series. What do you got, Cody? What's your pitch?
I do have a couple, and I apologize for Jackson for not going super unique here.
I also did not go very unique, so okay. I'm sorry.
My first one off the bat is not unique at all, but it's just something I really do want to see, and it's a genuine Lex Luthor movie. I think most of the iterations of Lex Luthor in movie form have been very, very bad. You had Kevin Spacey doing whatever he did on a boat, and then obviously Jesse Eisenberg. I actually don't even mind that casting. It's just I don't know what he's doing in Batman v Superman. He's some sort of just quick talking, quippy little kid trying to run this mega corporation. I don't know what the hell he's doing. It's bad.
It's a weird like daddy issues Lex Luthor.
Yeah, it's not Lex Luthor basically. It's a different character. But Lex Luthor is one of the best villains of all time, I think, and he matches up against Superman so well because he literally just beats him with his brain straight up. That's how badass this guy is. He's like that sort of Elon Musk type of guy, Steve Jobs sort of a little bit, where they literally have every single amount of money in the world you could think of. And then you got Lex Luthor, who's this absolute just like strategical genius. He always makes Superman look really bad in front of the media. Eventually he runs for president and wins pretty handily. I mean, this guy has a grasp on the public pretty well. And just sort of a movie variation of that, where he's on the rise, he's doing all the shady stuff on the side while still, being this great public figure. I think that's a super interesting portrayal of a character. And if you do it based off of more of a Lex Luthor movie and maybe just have a couple of shades of Superman in between, make him the sort of the protagonist, even though he's not a good guy in that sense, I think that'd be super interesting. But I do have another pitch as well, but I'll throw
you have a casting for Lex Luthor?
I said keep it Jesse Eisenberg, dude. Just don't do that stupid thing. Shave his head and make it like a mid-30s Jesse Eisenberg. I think he's a good actor. I mean, he can do a lot of different things. Menace, not his strongest suit.
You hate on me a lot for saying this type of stuff, but I think Jesse Eisenberg a little too young for the role. Maybe give him a couple years. Yeah,
maybe give it 5 years. I do back that. I mean, the obvious one that I was a big fan of is Bryan Cranston, but I mean, I think that's the obvious choice. I don't mind the casting of Eisenberg. Just how that character was portrayed and written was god awful. So I say give him another chance. I mean, nostalgia bait. Why not?
Sure, why not? I'll do my pitch and then you can do your other one. Okay.
Go for it. Yeah.
So again, not really unique, but I like Martian Manhunter a lot. It's a character I appreciate, and he's never really done justice on screen. We get a shitty version in the CW Supergirl show, and then there's the half-assed Zack Snyder Justice League shows up at the end of his 4-hour, whatever the fuck that was.
Yeah.
So let's just go all out. Make it a movie. I don't know what the take is, but I just think Martian Manhunter is a really cool character. The shape-shifting stuff. Maybe it's a war movie. Maybe it's kind of like a detective thing. I don't know what the take is, but I want to see Martian Manhunter and Tyler Perry. Give me Tyler Perry as Martian Manhunter.
Oh,
There we go. You didn't have me until you said Tyler Perry, so I just hopped straight on board for that one. But yeah, I think just like visually, Martian Manhunter is sort of difficult to do with the whole shape-shifting thing. But I mean, if they can do it with Mystique in the early 2000s, they could probably do it now. So yeah, why not? I back it. But my other pitch was this one is a little bit. It's not like super unique in the comics, but for the general public, people probably don't know who this is. It's a Guy Gardner. Do you know who Guy Gardner is, Corbin?
No, I'm not familiar. Tell me about him.
He's a Green Lantern, actually. And he's different a lot from the other Green Lanterns because he's a jackass. Basically, it's this guy with this massive ego, sort of a dick. However, I think if we infuse, some more comedy into DC, and especially Green Lantern, which, I mean, that movie was obviously bad, but the tone wasn't bad, I don't think. The execution was terrible. The effects were terrible. The story was terrible. But I kind of like the tone. And you know what? We're throwing Ryan Reynolds back into the frame as well, bringing back his Hal Jordan. He's obviously in a supporting role. He's probably in it for like 20 minutes. And then also you're introducing Jon Stewart, which is a very powerful character in the comics as well. But it is a Guy Gardner-centric movie. He's sort of like Star-Lord, except we're not going to cast Chris Pratt. But I just want to see a cool Green Lantern movie. It's sort of like a buddy cop with Jon Stewart and Guy Gardner, where Guy Gardner's just an asshole the entire time, and Jon Stewart sort of just hard ass. I think it'd be really fun, and it's something DC hasn't or probably won't try. And like even like in the grand scheme of DC, like Green Lanterns are a massive part of it. For them to just not exist in this world all kind of sucks. So I want to throw in one of the more fun characters in DC and go Guy Gardner. Also great initials, GG. Come on.
Nice. You mentioned buddy cop movie, which kind of leads into our next question, which technically might also come from Jackson. It came from the Rough Cut Retrospective Instagram. They replied to us. So my guess is Jackson. It could be Carter. But here's the question, or here's the prompt. Ant-Man was a heist movie. Batman is like a crime noir. Pitch a new superhero plus a subgenre mashup. So I have a couple. Buddy cop you mentioned. I want to see Spider-Man, Deadpool, buddy cop movie. Put those two together. Tom Holland, Ryan Reynolds. Give them a movie to just screw around. Make it kind of like, we don't need a huge, world-ending event. Make it kind of small, down to earth. Let's get Deadpool finally in the MCU with Spider-Man. Maybe a TV show. Have their own little thing. Little
like
six episode type thing.
I back it, yeah. But I like those kind of movies, sort of like Ant-Man, where it's just like low stakes, but it's high stakes for the characters a little bit. So throw Deadpool and Spidey in a car. I'm sure shenanigans will ensue. So
Deadpool always being extremely over the top and inappropriate, and then Peter Parker trying to deal with that.
Nah, I like the TV show too. I think give it more time, that would be very good. But I have a couple as well. My first one, which I'm not too confident about, but I think could be interesting if they did it right. Obviously, the Fantastic Four are coming into the MCU here. And I want the genre of movie to be a romantic comedy. The Fantastic Four, they've had movies in the past that have not been super serious, but they've also been super bad. So, I'm not too sure if this will work, but if you give me John Krasinski and Emily Blunt as the two leads, I think it come off very believable. And sort of just their relationship is the linchpin to the Fantastic Four. Obviously, you have Johnny Storm being the brother of Invisible Woman. And then I think Ben Grimm is just like the childhood best friend of Reed Richards. So they all have connections to the main two somehow.
And sort of if you have just those two being the reason why the group is formed and why, they all fight together. I'd also say my pitch, I'm just going deeper in the pitch here, but don't introduce Doctor Doom until the sequel. Just because he is such an iconic and very good villain. But
Post-credit tease.
Oh, 100%. I'm down for that. I mean, I just want to know the core of the group first, because you do have 4 different characters, and then if you have a massive villain who's going to appear in multiple movies after this, I want them to be sort of sharing 50-50 of the screen with the characters. And in an origin, maybe that's not the best thing. So I don't know. It's hard to do the Fantastic Four without Doctor Doom in the first movie, just because that might be the most recognizable character from the entire series. But that's not how I would do it. I just go rom-com first one. Fuck it.
All right. My next one isn't necessarily defined to the superhero thing. It could be any big franchise, but I want a legitimate horror movie. I know they kind of half-assed it with the New Mutants. It really seems like something that they've been toying with, even with Multiverse of Madness for a while.
Yeah.
But they just won't do it for real. So just fucking suck it up and do it for real. I want to see either a Star Wars movie, an X-Men movie, a DC movie, MCU. I don't care what it is, but give me a true horror, scary. Let's make this legit. You can't tell me you couldn't make a good Star Wars horror movie. I think there's so many scary things out in space. Do an Alien type thing. Obviously with when you have people like James Wan and Sam Raimi, 2 of the biggest horror directors of the last 20 years, making superhero movies and not even doing this, I think you're really missing out on a great opportunity. And even Scott Derrickson, who directed the first Doctor Strange and was set to direct this new Multiverse of Madness, wanted to do a straight horror, and there was disagreements with the studio, and then they brought in Sam Raimi, which is kind of ironic, bringing in the horror director Sam Raimi to not make this movie a horror movie. But let's go all out. Come on, give me something scary in in the genre. I think that could be really interesting.
I definitely agree with that. And I think Scott Derrickson even said when they were starting to make Doctor Strange 2, get ready for the first horror Marvel movie.
Yeah,
so I think
we're not gonna get it.
Yeah, it kind of does suck because it's sort of just becoming a multiverse movie, which I mean may be interesting in itself, but I think a pure Doctor Strange horror movie would actually be sick. So yeah, I do back that. I think that's a good mashing. I'm surprised the MCU hasn't done it yet, honestly, because there are so many good modern horror directors working today. Obviously, James Wan's making Aquaman, which doesn't really make sense, but in the Fast and Furious tone, it kind of does. I don't know. I think I'm thinking of somebody else actually, but that's
no James Wan.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I always mix up those guys, but yeah.
Justin Lin is
Justin
Furious.
There it is. Okay. Cut that.
James Wan also did direct Furious 7 though, so you're right.
Oh, okay. Well, I thought I was completely off. Okay, don't cut it, but it still sounds a little off. Anyways, moving on. I do have another one for this. It's probably another character you've never heard of, and it's DC. So basically, this is just moving on from my pitch from the last one too. It's the character is the Question. Are you familiar with the Question, Korbin?
Oh, I'm the Question's biggest fan.
That's what I figured. But yeah, he's actually a super interesting character, and obviously the genre I want to put him in is a murder mystery. However, I don't want the Batman noir, the serial killer mystery that we're probably going to get in the Batman, which looks great to be fair. But for this, I sort of want a la a Knives Out sort of movie, or what's that Kenneth Branagh movie?
You're stealing my last thing, basically.
Really? What's that Kenneth Branagh movie where he's on a train? That one?
Murder on the Orient Express.
Yeah, and there's another one too, something on the Nile.
Death on the Nile. Yeah, with the cannibal guy. Yeah.
Yeah, but I sort of want that style of movie. But the Question is such a fun character to throw in that because he's sort of over serious.
Pretty sure that's an Agatha Christie novel, the Kenneth Branagh Murder on the Orient Express.
Oh yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, regardless, I don't know if you've seen. I've seen a little bit of Justice League animated series. Very good stuff. The Question is actually a really fun character on that, which you wouldn't expect. But I think sort of also he has face that you can't see, which I think would be really cool in live action. But I mean, just the contained environment with him solving a mystery, but also being sort of fun along the way. You could have a ragtag team of just lower level DC characters, sort of like they did in the Suicide Squad. but it's more of obviously like the murder mystery. I saw you throw Amy Adams in as Lois Lane there. She's there for some reason because she's had nothing to do in the DC universe. But just a lot of fun cast, interesting characters, and a fun murder mystery. Can't go wrong with that. I don't think.
Well, my last pick was also an adult comedy murder mystery type thing, a la Knives Out, was my take. But I want Howard the Duck at the center of it.
Oh, okay. I like it.
And then also somehow get the Punisher involved. So he's gonna kind of like come in as like maybe he's one of the suspects, you know. It's like it kind of like Knives Out. You get a big cast of characters together. Who did it? They kind of did it with a what if episode where like, a murder mystery type thing, but it was pretty half-assed and shitty. So yeah, someone dies. We got to figure out who did it. Howard the Duck is the guy who's leading the investigation. So
I would watch that in an instant.
He's the Benoit Blanc of the of the movie.
I'm a fan. Get Shane in there from The Walking Dead, of course, dude.
Yeah, for sure. Punisher is one of the in the Marvel universe, one of the better detective type characters. Really, there's not like a Batman, the world's greatest detective type thing. So throw Punisher, Howard the Duck, you know, should be interesting. So thanks guys. That was our Q&A and our prompts and our hot takes. Thanks for listening. This is the end of season 2. Kody, any final thoughts and reflections on season 2?
Season 2, it's been a good one, man. I think this was a great episode to end the season on. Lots and lots of content for season 2. A lot more in season 1, which I did enjoy a lot. But I think we're just making strides forward. We're going to keep trying to make better content for you guys who are still stuck around listening. And, obviously, really do appreciate the support from all you guys. We're going to have a bunch of new guests on this season, I think. A lot of people have supported us.
Let us know if you want to be a guest.
Yeah, so I'm excited about that. Some new fresh faces around here as well as some, returning favorites. But man, I really did enjoy season 2 and super, super happy we're still doing this.
Yeah, listen, I think season 2 really expanded upon what we did in season 1 and made it better. And I think season 3, we've got some big plans to continue to do that. We were able to do some interesting like one-off type episodes or even like some continuous series that I think we can continue on with some new type of drafts and some new looks at, different maybe tropes or different things in the film and TV industry beyond just, hey, here's a weekly movie. We are going to keep doing that. We got some new categories and I'm really excited to debut those in the next episode. We are going to take a week off to prepare for season 3, and then we'll be back in 2 weeks with season 3. Again, let us know if you want to be a guest. Follow us on Insta, TikTok, and Twitter. We've posted TikToks.
TikTok. How about that?
I kind of want to just like, and Kody, we talk about this off screen a little bit. I kind of want to just start like posting like even just stuff like one-off videos that we make specifically for TikTok about, top 10 lists or our takes on things. So I'm sure we'll continue to do that. Thank you so much for all the support. Thank you for listening. And we're going to see you in season 3. Peace.
Stay capping.
Stay capping.